Lots of little girls dream of being princesses. But what if you dream of being a trendy princess? A Y2K teen girl celebrity princess? Then boy do I have the franchise for you. The Princess Diaries follows Mia Thermopolis, a normal teenage girl who finds out that she is secretly a princess. And so today, I thought we could explore the Princess Diaries' 26-year history. But before we get into the Princess Diaries, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, Pair Eyewear. Pair lets you change the look of your glasses with magnetic top frames. Maybe if Mia Thermopolis had these, she wouldn't have needed a makeover. My base frames are the Casper in the color clear with my glasses prescription. It was very easy to do. I just submitted my prescription on the website. They needed my pupil distance, so I was able to just do that with my phone camera. And the base frames start at just $60. I have the top frames Ditzy Doodles in glitter crystal. These were part of the Valentine's Day collection, and so they have little pink glittery hearts all over them. I also got the Flamingo to Blush gradient crystal and the polarized tortoise sun tops. This lets you turn your base glasses into prescription sunglasses. Pair has a truly ridiculous number of top frames. They're constantly coming out with seasonal and limited edition frames, and they even do a lot of collaborations. Their glasses are risk-free with free US shipping and free returns. So you may as well try them. If you're interested, click the link in my description box to shop Pair Eyewear and use code SarahSerifGift15 to get a free gift with your purchase. Thank you, Pair, for sponsoring today's video. So, The Princess Diaries started out with a book by Meg Cabot. The first book came out in the year 2000, and it turned into a series of books. Now, if, like me, you did not read these books, I would like you to guess how many books there are. You're wrong, it's 12. She published one every year from the year 2000 to the year 2009, and then there were 2 additional books, and that's not counting all of the novellas and spin-offs. When I first learned how many books there were, this video got indefinitely postponed. I was like, oh no, that is too many Princess Diaries. But for you, dear viewer, I have read them all. We start, of course, with book 1, The Princess Diaries. The main character is Mia Thermopolis. She is starting her freshman year of high school, and she considers herself a freak because she's 5'9" and flat-chested with size 10 shoes. That's what every girl hates being, tall and slim. I've never watched the movie Tall Girl, but I'm guessing it's kind of like this. Mia is also a vegetarian and very interested in political causes like environmentalism. The structure of the book is a diary, so we are reading Mia's diary entries. Not infrequently, Mia will go, I had to run to the bathroom to write this down right now. And entries will start with her going, oh my god, I can't believe this just happened. I'm so mad at her. This is ridiculous. Blah, blah, blah. And you have to get through 2 pages to find out what we're talking about. In addition to diary entries, there's also other forms of written communication, like Mia passing notes with her friends, writing lists of various kinds. She will often write down what homework assignments she has to do and make to-do lists. We see a little bit of her notes for class and excerpts from things like articles. Also, because it's a diary, everything is told in first person, which is a little bit challenging because Mia is kind of exhausting. And I think, unfortunately, it's a symptom of the first person narration that we are getting Mia at her worst. She's complaining, she's high-strung, she's judgmental, but that's because we're literally reading her diary. I'm sure if you saw all of my innermost thoughts, you wouldn't like me either. But after 12 books, it is kind of tiring. But I think if these books were third-person prose, this problem would not be nearly so amplified. I will say, over the years, I have heard people say critical things about the Princess Diaries books, and Mia being unlikable, and the books being bad or annoying in some way. So I went in with pretty low expectations, but I didn't find it as bad as I thought I was going to. I think it's generally fine. I still enjoyed reading these books. I didn't find it as grating as other people seem to. There's just that layer of these books where you're like, oh, Mia. Which, speaking of that, I will say that she's also kind of stupid. Because it's first person, she's a very unreliable narrator. We, as the audience, pick up on a lot of things that Mia is not picking up on. For example, the fact that she thinks that she's an ugly freak, and clearly many boys think she's attractive. Or Mia not picking up on things in relationships. And it sometimes feels like part of what's moving the plot forward and causing conflict in these books is that Mia's just kind of dumb. Another thing about this writing style is there's a ton of pop culture references. Like, constantly. Which, not all of the books, but at least starting with the first one, it's 26 years old. So these are pop culture references that I didn't even live through. There's a lot of stuff that I'm, like, aware of. I knew what a lot of the references were, but there's a lot of them where I was like, I have never once heard of this thing in my life. Celebrities who are no longer relevant, or teen TV shows that got canceled after 2 seasons. It's extremely of its time. Its time being whenever the book was published. Because the later books have current pop culture references for when they were published, even though Mia's only in high school for 4 years. And the main series, the first 10 books, were published over 10 years. So you're getting 10 years worth of pop culture references for her 4 years of high school. I don't mind that. I don't generally care if books are grounded in some sort of accurate timeline. It feels very CinemaSins to be concerned. Like, Dance Dance by Fall Out Boy only came out in 2005, and Mia would have been out of high school by then. Doesn't matter. That's not what these books are doing. So we start the diary with Mia having just started her freshman year of high school, and her parents are divorced. Her mom is a very bohemian feminist artist. We have a line that she cried after her last boyfriend turned out to be a Republican. Still a relevant problem for women today. And she's also kind of irresponsible. It kind of reminds me of Bella's mom from Twilight. Mia talks about having to make sure bills are paid on time and going grocery shopping. Her mom is too busy in her studio to remember things like that. She lives with her mom in New York, along with her cat named Fat Louie, who's I think 25 pounds. Very serious cat. And the first diary entry of this book is Mia complaining that her mom has just started dating her algebra teacher, Mr. Giannini, as if she isn't already a freak. And to make matters worse, Mia is flunking algebra. And apparently, this was inspired by something that happened to Meg Cabot. Her mom started dating one of her teachers. And that was originally the premise for the book. Just, what if your mom started dating one of your teachers? And then that wasn't really interesting enough. So then she added in the princess thing later, which is obviously the more important thing.
This is really embarrassing. What actually inspired it is the fact that my mom started dating one of my teachers. Yeah, so I was really traumatized by this because, I was seeing my mom making out with one of my teachers. Although the sad part of that is that I was actually 30 years old at the time. So I started keeping a diary about it because, you have to kind of keep those feelings to yourself because I was actually really happy for her. They had both lost their partners, and so it was nice that they found love again late in life, and that diary just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I actually passed it around to some of my friends because I thought it was funny and it might make a good book, and they were like, first of all, it's weird that the girl in the book is 30 and she's so upset that her mom's dating her teacher, and second of all, nothing happens. You got to make the story more interesting. So I was like, I'm gonna make it really high stakes, and I made the girl 14, and I decided to have her find out that she's a freak.
We learn a little bit more about Mia's world. She has a best friend named Lily Moscovitz. Both of Lily's parents are psychoanalysts, and Lily is a very political activist type character. It feels like in every book she has a new cause that she's fighting for. She's also quite judgy and not particularly nice. I hadn't read any of the books, I'd only watched the movies, and Lily is a lot more likable in the movies. I don't like book Lily that much. Lily also hosts a public access TV show called Lily Tells It Like It Is. Important context here is that all of the characters in this book have money. They all go to a fancy private New York prep school and have kind of fantastical hobbies like this. I mean, Lily's is probably the most unrealistic hobby of the whole series. Her parents are paying, I think, $200 per episode, so $800 a month for her to host this show that no one's watching, except for her stalker who has a foot fetish. These books are more sexual and raunchy than I thought they were. Apparently, Lily likes to antagonize this stalker by pretending she's going to show her feet on camera and then not doing it. Lily has an older brother named Michael, who is a senior in high school, and he runs an online webzine called Crackhead. There's another senior boy named Josh Richter, who Mia has a big crush on. But Josh is dating Lana Weinberger, who is another freshman. And Lana is like a cheerleader bully. Various main characters, Mia, Lily, Michael, and some of their other friends, are all in a gifted and talented class. The point of this class is for them all to work on their own personal projects. For Mia, it's basically just a study hall for her to work on algebra. It's also basically just an excuse for a lot of our main characters to be in a room together with no supervision for like an hour every day. One of the characters in the gifted and talented class is Boris Polkowski. He's a Russian violin virtuoso, and so he spends gifted and talented practicing his violin, but everyone finds him very annoying, so they lock him in the supply closet. So that's sort of what's going on in Mia's world. And then Mia's dad keeps calling. They don't have a very close relationship. She doesn't see him very often. He lives in the small fictional country of Genovia. It has a population of about 50,000. It's next to France. They have beautiful beaches, a very temperate climate. They're known for their olive growing, and they have no income or property tax. And they also have a royal family. Genovia is compared to Monaco, if that helps you. I did a little bit of a deep dive on Monaco because I realized the only real thing I know about it is that Grace Kelly was the princess for a period of time. I believe we're meant to understand that Mia has never actually been to Genovia. She visits her father for summer break and Christmas break, but they stay at her grandmother's French chateau. Her grandmother in the books is referred to as grand-mère, French for grandmother. I'm gonna have to say it a lot in this video, and I'm real not confident about it. This tiara does not want to stay on. I don't think you're supposed to wear tiaras over headphones. We also learned that Mia's dad recently went through treatment for testicular cancer, and because of that, he is now sterile and can't have any more kids. So he's calling her, she's not really answering, and then he comes to stay at the Plaza Hotel, and she has to go meet him there, and then he tells her that he is the Prince of Genovia, and now that he can't have any more kids, Mia is his only heir. Mia, over the course of this conversation, has the hiccups, and she's kind of processing all this information, so she goes to the bathroom, she comes back, and then she still hasn't really gotten it, so he further explains that she is a princess, and she is in line for the throne of Genovia, and he wants her to move with him to Genovia to go live in the palace. And she freaks out at this, and she panics and runs away to the Central Park Zoo, and she goes and watches the penguins until the zoo closes. And because it's the year 2000 and no one has cell phones, her parents are not able to contact her, so she gets back to the apartment. They have kind of been freaking out, but they realize that she is super upset, so they let her just go to bed. The next morning, her dad has Lars drive her to school in a limo. Lars is her dad's chauffeur and I believe also bodyguard, and we get this quote: "The only person at Albert Einstein High School who gets dropped off by a chauffeur is this totally rich Saudi Arabian girl named Tina Hakim Baba, whose dad owns some big oil company, and everyone makes fun of her because her parents are all worried she'll get kidnapped between 75th and Madison, where our school is, and 75th and 5th, where she lives." There's a gnat. I got it. Bye. Oh no. So Mia is kind of embarrassed about this whole limo situation, but she goes to pick up Lily in the limo anyway. And she doesn't fully explain the situation to Lily because she doesn't want to explain that she's a princess. She's just like, oh, my dad has this limo and wanted me to use it or something, whatever. And then that night, because she's still upset about the whole princess thing, she spends the night at Lily's house. And they end up talking about boys. Michael asks Mia if she would have sex with Josh Richter. Crazy thing for him to ask. And Mia says yes, if 1, we'd been dating for at least a year, 2, he pledged his undying love for me, and 3, he took me to see Beauty and the Beast on Broadway and didn't make fun of it. And then there's a conversation about if it was the end of the world and you could only have one person, like, to repopulate or whatever, who would it be? And Lily asks Michael if he would pick Lana Weinberger or Mia, and he says Mia. And then Lily asks Mia if she would pick Michael or Josh Richter, and she says Josh Richter, even though maybe she would pick Michael, but she doesn't want to say that. The romance that we are setting up is between Mia and Michael, Lily's older brother, who is a senior when Mia is a freshman. And I will have more thoughts on this later. I just want you to know the direction we're going. It's not super subtle, you probably would have figured it out, but I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page early on. Then Mia goes back home, and she makes an agreement with her dad. He has her agree to fulfill princess duties, unspecified, and she won't have to move to Genovia. She can continue going to Albert Einstein High School for Boys, made coeducational circa 1975. I do think it's funny every time we refer to the school that way. Then she wants to call Lily to just to have Lily sort of talk to her and distract her. But because it's the year 2000, Michael is online working on his webzine, and that is tying up the phone line. The technology really evolves in these books, which is funny. Because by the end, everyone has computers, and they're emailing, and they have Blackberries, and they're texting. But that's not where we're at currently. Then Mia finds out that Grandmère is staying in town at the Plaza Hotel. Grandmère has tattooed on eyeliner a poodle named Rommel who has some sort of nervous condition and has licked itself hairless. And she is not a nice lady. She is also, in most of the audiobooks that I listen to, depicted as French, and so is her dad. Which makes sense based on where Genovia is located. I just wanted you to have that in your head because there's a lot of British accents in the movies. The franchise isn't super consistent on this point, but in my mind, Grandmère and Mia's dad speak with French accents. So, Grandmère is in New York, and it turns out that the reason she's in New York is because she's going to be giving Mia princess lessons every day after school. And she's going to teach Mia, etiquette and politics and stuff. A lot of this does not happen on the page. Mainly when we see a princess lesson, it's because of some unrelated conversation that she's having with Grandmère. We're not actually seeing the contents of the princess lessons. Though we do know that for one of the princess lessons, Mia has to make a list of 10 women she admires. This includes Madonna and her mom, and the lady cop I once saw give a truck driver a ticket for honking at a woman who was crossing the street. Her skirt was kind of short. The lady cop told the truck driver it was a no honking zone, and then when he argued about it, she wrote him another ticket for arguing with an officer of the law. And also, Princess Diana. Even though she is dead, Princess Diana is one of my favorite women of all time. She, too, revolutionized the fashion world by refusing to wear the ugly old hats that her mother-in-law told her to wear, and instead wore Halston and Bill Blass. Also, she visited a lot of really sick people, even though nobody made her do it, and some people, like her husband, even made fun of her for doing it. The night Princess Diana died, I unplugged the TV and said I would never watch it again, since media was what killed her. But then I regretted it the next morning when I couldn't watch Japanese anime on the Sci-Fi Channel because unplugging the TV scrambled our cable box. Lily is now boycotting the deli across the street from the school because she found out that they are giving a 5-cent discount to Asian Americans. And Lily thinks that's racist, and she is going to film a segment about it for her TV show. And she asks Mia to help, because Mia usually helps with the production of her TV show, but Mia can't because of princess lessons. And it turns out that for this princess lesson, Grandmère is taking her to get a makeover from a man named Paolo. For this makeover, she is turned blonde and also given fake nails because she bites her nails a lot. She is super embarrassed by this makeover and does not want to go to school, and she's yelling at her dad about it, and he's finally like, okay, what if I pay you money? How much is this worth? And at first she doesn't want the money, but then he offers to pay $100 a day to the charity Greenpeace. And that is finally enough to make it worth it for Mia. Then when Lily sees the makeover, she is very mean about it. And she's like, this is why you couldn't help me film this segment? And she's like, you have to stand up to your grandmother. This is ridiculous. And Mia tells Lily to shut up. And they are now not speaking. She was going to spend the night at Lily's, but now that they're mad at each other, she goes back home. And Mr. Giannini is there. And her mom's like, oh, I thought you weren't going to be here. And her mom's like, he slept on the futon. And Mia chooses to believe that so that she can continue going to algebra class. But it doesn't actually turn out to be a big deal because Mr. Giannini is kind of chill and jokey. Then Michael messages her. He's like, what is going on with you and Lily? And he also offers to tutor her in algebra. The next day at school, Mia can't sit with Lily because they're not speaking, so she ends up sitting with Tina, the girl with the bodyguard. And Tina is probably my favorite character. She reads romance novels and she's very excited and enthusiastic about things. She's very fun. Then Lana comes over to make fun of them. She's like, oh, Tina, did your dad buy you a new friend? And so Mia shoves her ice cream cone into Lana's sweater. At princess lessons, Grandmère brings up that she used to have a rival named Genevieve. Genevieve comes up later, is why I'm mentioning this. And Mia's like, what did you do? Grandmère let out this evil laugh. Oh, nothing. There's no way she did nothing to Genevieve. Not with a laugh like that. But no matter how hard I pestered her, Grandmère wouldn't tell me what she did to get back at Genevieve. I'm kind of thinking maybe she killed her. Throughout the book, we've been talking about this cultural diversity dance that's going on this weekend. I mean, previously on in the book, it was happening later, but now in the book it's happening this weekend. You understand the passage of time. And Mia hears that Lily is going with Boris Pelkowski, the violin guy. And Mia is like, seriously, I'm the only person without a date? And Michael is tutoring her in algebra during Gifted and Talented, and he's clearly about to ask her for the dance, but then they get interrupted. This is the thing of Mia being kind of stupid. You're like, really, Mia? You can't tell that he's into you? Guys, I'm so sorry. I have to take the headphones off. They're hurting my ears. They're ruining my crown. I just can't do it. Now I'm just gonna look like how she looks in the movie and not how she looks on the movie poster. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm not sad about the costume at all. Why would you think that? But then, disaster of all disasters. Mia being a princess is leaked to the New York Post. So now, everybody knows that Mia is a princess. And now Mia has to have a bodyguard. And so the bodyguard is Lars. And she's worried that Tina won't want to be friends with her because now there's all this drama. But Tina's like, no, I thought you wouldn't want to be friends with me. So we're good on the Tina front. Also, Lars and Tina's bodyguard are now friends. But of course, Lily is super mad. And Michael is like, you're just jealous that Mia had a secret she didn't tell you about and got a haircut and a new friend without your permission. Often Michael comes in to be sort of the voice of reason, especially when it comes to Lily, who's often extremely mad for no reason, which part of what's happening is he's older than all of our main characters, so he's more mature than them. Mia's dad is upset with Mr. Giannini because he thinks that maybe Mr. Giannini leaked this information to the press. And Mia's mom hates this accusation, and she thinks Grandmère did it. Then the next day at lunch, Lana and Josh and all of their popular friends come and sit with Mia and Tina. And they invite Mia to a party, but Mia says no. She's like, my mom wouldn't like that. And they're like, you lie to her. And she's like, I don't want to do that. Then Grandmère takes her to dinner to try and practice all of her etiquette skills. And there's tons of paparazzi there. And Mia's like, you called the paparazzi to be here. And Grandmère's like, yes. Completely unapologetic. Then Josh breaks up with Lana and he asks Mia to the cultural diversity dance. And for a moment, Mia's like, he's only asking you because you're a princess. And then she's like, who cares? Then, in Gifted and Talented, Michael, who had been pretty quiet for him all through class, looked at Lars and went, you're going too, right? And Lars went, oh yes. And the two of them looked at each other in that infuriating way guys look at each other sometimes. Like they have this secret. You know in 6th grade, when they made all of us girls go into the other room and watch a video about getting our periods and stuff? I bet while we were gone, the boys were watching a video about how to look at each other in that infuriating way. Or maybe a cartoon or something. Mr. Giannini is also not happy that Mia is going with Josh. He's like, I know Josh. Josh is kind of fast. And Mia's like, what is this, the 50s? And so now Mia's mom is not into the idea. She calls her dad. No one's happy about her going to this dance with Josh. Except for Grandmère, because she's happy that Mia is going to some sort of event. So she shows up to take Mia dress shopping, and it's the first time Mia's happy about something Grandmère has done. Then, on the night of the dance, Mia goes to dinner with Josh's group. It's very awkward. No one's really talking to Mia. He orders steak for everyone, which she is famously a vegetarian. And he keeps ordering champagne for the table and not getting carded, so everyone's getting a little bit tipsy. Then her and Josh go to the school, and there are news crews outside of the school. Lars is like, hold on, let me park the car and come with you, make sure everything's okay. But instead, Josh drags Mia out of the car and kisses her in front of all of the news cameras. They get inside, Mia yells at him, then she runs into the bathroom, and then both Tina and Lily come and check on her. And then in her next diary entry, she's like, I had a dream last night. In my dream, Lily and I weren't fighting anymore. She and Tina had become friends. Boris Pelkowski actually turned out to be not so bad when you got him away from his violin. Mr. Giannini said he was raising my 9-week grade from an F to a D. I slow danced with Michael Moskowitz, and Iran bombed Afghanistan, so there wasn't a single picture of me and Josh kissing in any newspaper on the newsstand, since all the papers were filled with photos of war carnage. But it wasn't a dream. It wasn't a dream at all. None of it. It all really happened. And that's the end of book 1. And then the first movie comes out in 2001, just 1 year later. The movie is directed by Gary Marshall, who also directed Pretty Woman. If I'd had the time, or perhaps the inclination, I would have watched it, because I think there are maybe some references and Easter eggs to Pretty Woman in this movie, but I didn't do that. I'm so sorry. I was busy reading 12 Princess Diaries books. The location of the movie is changed from New York to San Francisco, apparently because Gary Marshall's granddaughters lived there.
So that producer calls and she says the director wants to move the setting from New York to San Francisco because his granddaughters live in San Francisco and he wants to be close to them during the filming. And I said, well, who's the director? And she said, it's Gary Marshall. And I was like, oh my God, move the setting to San Francisco. That's amazing. And then
Mia is played by Anne Hathaway in her breakout role, also perhaps her second role ever. Her character is aged up a little bit, so she's no longer a freshman, she's a sophomore. She's, I think, 15, and she is very clumsy. She lives with her artist mom and not that fat cat in a refurbished firehouse. And she goes to school, and early on in the movie, she meets her grandmother, who is played by Julie Andrews. This version of the grandmother is very polished and nice. She's not chain smoking and drinking sidecars like she is in the book. And in the movie, she's meeting her grandmother for the first time, after her dad recently passed away. Again, her dad, who she didn't really know that well, wasn't very close with. Apparently, production on the movie went to Meg Cabot and they were like, we got a really great actress for the grandmother, so we're thinking of killing off the dad so that we can give all of his lines to the grandmother.
Later, she called and said that they have to move or kill off one of the main characters, which was the father, Princess Mia's father. And of course it's Disney. So I was like, well, of course they're killing off the father because they always kill off one of the parents. But I was like, really, what? Why? What did he do? And she said, well, we have this actress that we want to play the grandmother. And she's an amazing actress. She hasn't been in anything in a really long time. And if we kill off the father, then we will give her a lot more lines. She can have all the lines that the father had. And I said, well, who's the actress? And they said, it's Julie Andrews. So I said, kill the dad. Just kill him out. It's totally fine.
The movie is quite faithful in that Mia finds out that she's a princess, panics and runs away. She's mad at her mom for not telling her. And in the end, she agrees to do princess lessons. The difference is that in the movie, the main conflict is whether Mia will agree to be a princess. There is going to be a Genovian Independence Day ball soon, and at that ball, Mia will have to either renounce or accept her title. In the book, she doesn't have a choice. But I think it's a good character arc to have her sort of mature and come into her own and accept this role. Lily in the movie is much nicer. She still has her TV show, only in the movie it is called Shut Up and Listen. And her older brother Michael plays in a band, and he works at a mechanic shop to have space for his band to practice. Like a deal with the owner. Mia in this movie got an old Mustang as a gift from her mother, and there's sort of a subplot of the car being refurbished. Michael is helping out with the car. I find Michael's actor very underwhelming. I don't think he's particularly charismatic. I think perhaps he was cast because of his floppy hair. Lana and Josh are in this movie. They are dating. Lana is played by Mandy Moore, which is funny. She was the big teen star of the movie because Anne Hathaway was at that time an unknown. Lars, the bodyguard, has been turned into Joe, the head of security, who the Queen has keeping an eye on Mia. The Queen and Lars have a little thing going on. It's barely in the movie, but the mom does date one of Mia's teachers. In the movie, it's her debate teacher. Instead of being bad at algebra, Mia is a very bad public speaker, which I think makes for a better character arc than algebra. It ties into the princess thing. She has to make a speech at the end. There's a deleted scene with slightly more between the mom and the teacher, but it's so not part of the plot of this movie. I understand why it was cut. We do a lot of princess lessons, so we can do a lot of physical comedy. And then Mia gets a makeover by Paolo. Only Paolo could take this and give you a princess. In this version, her curly hair is straightened, and we take away her glasses and pluck her eyebrows. So slightly different to the makeover she gets in the book. She is Anne Hathaway, a spectacularly beautiful woman, and they did do their best to make this a big transformation. I think it's a pretty impressive before and after compared to a lot of other makeover scenes. Lily is, of course, judgy about the makeover. She's like, you're trying to fit in with the popular crowd. And Mia tells Lily to shut up. They very briefly fight, but it is immediately resolved because Mia tells Lily that she's a princess, and Lily is very excited. Lily is so much nicer and more likable in the movies. It feels like so much of the books is the two of them being mad at each other or not speaking. Mia tries to hide her new straight hairdo under a hat, but school rules say that there are no hats allowed in class, and Lana calls her out for it. So now everyone's seen Mia's new look. Later, Michael invites Mia to see his band play on Saturday, and she says yes. But then, someone leaks Mia being a princess, and the school is hounded by news crews and paparazzi, and so Mia is rushed into the principal's office. I think actually the vice principal. Her name is Principal Gupta. She is a character in the books, and she is played by Sandra Oh, doing a great job. And we find out that the person who leaked the news was Paolo. He wanted to get credit for Mia's new look, which, now that Mia is out publicly as a princess, Lily invites Mia to come on her talk show this Saturday, and Mia says yes. Then Mia has to go to a state dinner to practice all of her princess things. She is super clumsy, and there's a ridiculous number of gaffes of her setting things on fire, eating cold sorbet too fast. Basically, she makes a giant mess and is very embarrassed. No one's mad, but she's embarrassed that she did a bad job. And so the next day, the queen has Mia show her around San Francisco to cheer her up. And Mia drives them around in her Mustang. And it's all going well, they're having a good time, until Mia gets in a car crash with a trolley. And the queen solves it by pretending to knight the police officer and the driver. And then they're so honored and flattered that they're like, Mia doesn't need to go to jail. Then Lana goes on TV and says that she's Mia's best friend. And Josh breaks up with her off screen. He's like, I hate people who try and get attention like that. And he invites Mia to the big beach party that's happening on Saturday. So if you've been keeping track, Mia now has 3 different plans on Saturday. I wonder which one she's gonna go to. Mia, of course, goes to the beach party. Lana sings a cover of Stupid Cupid, I think, at the beach party, because it's Mandy Moore, so I guess we have to have her sing. There's a deleted scene where everybody does a dance with bananas. That was stupid. Glad they cut that. Then a news chopper shows up to try and get footage of Mia. And so Josh takes her and they hide in a shack together. They're about to kiss, but Mia doesn't think it's that romantic, so she makes them wait. And then finally Josh is like, I think the news crews are gone. And he takes her outside where there's a million paparazzi waiting for them because he set her up. And then he kisses her in front of everyone. And then she hits him with her sandal. She runs off. And then Lana and her friends pretend to help her. They're gonna like guard the changing tent so that she can put on normal clothes. But then they bring the paparazzi over and take down the tent so that they can try and get footage of Mia changing. The next day, this is all in the newspaper, and the queen is very upset with Mia. I still, to this day, I didn't understand it when I was watching this as a kid, and I still don't understand it now, why the queen is upset with her. Because it seems extremely obvious that Mia was assaulted and then paparazzi tried to photograph a minor naked. It's 100% not her fault, and I'm questioning how she could even interpret it as being Mia's fault. I think it's supposed to be like Mia is irresponsible and should have been more careful, or like she went wild and was kissing boys in the tabloids or something, but that's so obviously not what's happened. It's still mind-boggling to me to this day that the queen is upset with her and thinks it's her fault. And now she doesn't think that Mia should be a princess. Because this, I guess, shows that she can't handle it or that she's not responsible enough or something. I understand that paparazzi and like media culture were different in 2001. So maybe that's part of also what I'm missing. Culturally, maybe we were more blaming women for being photographed, being assaulted. But even when I was a kid and I was watching this, I was like, why is she mad? Why is she mad at Mia? What? So now Mia is not going to be a princess anymore. She's going to renounce the title. Lily is upset with Mia because she flaked on going on the talk show, and Mia apologizes and she's like, I'm not even going to be a princess anymore, so it's not even going to be a problem. And Lily's like, wait, no, you should be a princess. Being a princess is really cool. You have a lot of power to change things and influence people. I have a talk show with only 12 viewers. Then we show Mia in gym class playing baseball. We've had multiple gym class scenes with this nice lady coach, and Mia's really bad at all the sports that they do because she's uncoordinated. But it's framed as like she's gonna get a bad grade because she's bad at the sports. I think I have only ever done PE where it was participation grade based. Like, if you were really bad at playing soccer, they weren't going to fail you. If you showed up and wore your PE clothes and were, like, kind of participating, you were going to pass PE. If you failed the physical fitness exam, they would make you retake it, which I had to try very, very hard to make sure that didn't happen in my sophomore year. Because you can only fail 2 aspects of it, and there's, like, 6 or 8 different things. And at the time I was not going to pass 3 of them, so I had to pick which one of those I thought I could improve on, and I decided on push-ups, and I worked really hard, and I was able to do the minimum required amount of push-ups. And I didn't have to take PE my junior and senior year of high school. And it was one of my proudest achievements. Also because I started having crazy medical problems junior year of high school, thank God I didn't have to also do PE. So if you took PE in the olden days, let me know. If you were bad at baseball, were they gonna fail you? That's crazy. Anyway, so Mia's playing baseball. She's very bad at it. But then everyone's making fun of her for the beach party thing. And she gets so mad that she is able to successfully hit the ball, and it goes and hits Josh Richter in the balls. I don't know if that's exactly what she was going for. If it was, that's spectacular aim. And so that's sort of his comeuppance. Then we get Lana's comeuppance, where she shoves the ice cream into Lana's shirt, like she does in the book. Originally, in the movie, this was supposed to be earlier on, which you can tell because Mia is wearing the hat, like she's trying to hide her hair. So this would have been way earlier on in the story. Originally, Lana was going to get exposed on TV for not being Mia's best friend, but test audiences didn't think that was impactful enough. And I watched the deleted scene. I think it's just the way they wrote it was kind of underwhelming. I think there is a version of that scene that could have worked as Lana's big comeuppance. But that's not what happened. Then the queen gives Mia her 16th birthday present, which is a diary, because we have to fit that title in somewhere. And the queen tells her that the Genovian ball is, I think, the next day, and Mia is supposed to go and make a speech renouncing her title. And Mia's like, yeah, sure, totally. But what she actually plans to do is to run away instead, because she does not want to make a speech in front of a bunch of people. But then she finds a letter from her dad in the diary, and it talks about courage and has some quote that's like, bravery is not the absence of fear, but accepting that something else is more important. Something like that. I didn't write it down, but I think I basically nailed it. And that is enough to convince Mia that she is going to go to the ball. Except unfortunately, she has already schemed to make that not happen, so no one is available to take her, and she's going to have to drive herself there. Even though I think at this point she does not have a license. She has a learner's permit. Also, it's raining like crazy, and the convertible top won't come up, so she's driving in the rain, and then her car breaks down, and everything is ruined. But then Lars comes and saves the day. He picks her up. He figured out that she was going to try and run and not come, and so he tracked her down. The two of them make it to the ball. Mia is in jeans and a hoodie and is soaking wet, but she's able to give her speech, and instead of renouncing the title, she accepts, and she's going to be a princess. Then Paolo comes and gives her a quick makeover, so she's in this outfit as opposed to the jeans. And then Michael shows up. She had invited him, but he had said no because he was mad that she flaked on him. But then she sent him a pizza in the mail with M&Ms on it, spelling out sorry. He plays keyboard in the band, and he puts M&Ms on the keyboard. And there's a deleted scene where Michael and Mia go and get pizza, and he confesses that he always thought that M&Ms on pizza would be good. This scene was cut because it seemed like they were getting too friendly with each other, and if Mia was going to end up dating Josh Richter briefly, it seemed rude to Michael that they were already kind of flirting with each other. But that's the explanation for the sorry on the pizza. So Michael forgives her, and he shows up at the ball, and the two of them kiss in the garden, and it's all romantic, and Mia's foot pops. She had expressed to her mom that she wants to have a first kiss where her foot pops like they do in old movies. And when Josh Richter forcibly kissed her, obviously her foot didn't pop, but this time with Michael it does. And we end the movie with her writing in the diary on a plane to Genovia. I think this is, 1, quite a good movie, and 2, quite a good adaptation of the book. If you gave me the Princess Diaries book and said, make a G-rated adaptation of this book, this is about what I would expect. I think it still captures the quirky spirit of the book. There's a lot of character in it. And we had to cut a lot, but I think we kept all the important parts. It was always funny seeing deleted scenes, though, because you're like, either I see exactly why this was cut, and it's stupid that you shot this in the first place, or I wish you had kept that in, because it's weird that you cut it. Banana dance, stupid. Setting up the M&Ms on the pizza, probably should have kept it. I guess they just wanted the runtime to be under 2 hours. Which it is crazy that this is almost 2 hours long. I don't know if it necessarily needed to be, but then I don't know what else you would cut. Now let's get back to the books. The next book is Princess in the Spotlight. And I'm going to note here that it's possible that wherever you were reading these books, so let's say maybe if you're from the UK, it's possible that these books had different titles. I've seen versions of these books where the titles are, I don't know, numerical. So like Princess Diaries Take Two, Princess Diaries Third Time Lucky, stuff like that. I'm going off of the editions that I got from my library. So in this book, only 1 month has passed. We are still in the first semester of Mia's freshman year of high school, and her mom is now pregnant with Mr. Giannini's baby. And Mia is, of course, pissed about this. She's like, "What? You're having his baby?" As if I'm not already such a freak. Then, Grandmère organizes an interview with Beverly Bellarive. She wants Mia to start doing some press. Unfortunately, Mia's dad is now hooking up with Beverly. Mia's mom and Mr. Giannini are going to get married because of the whole baby situation. And Lana and Josh have gotten back together. Then, Mia gets an anonymous love letter. She doesn't know who it's by. She kind of hopes it's Michael. And then she gets an anonymous instant message. There's instant messaging in these books, and everyone has a screen name. Mia's is Fat Louie. Lily's is Women Rule. Michael's is at first Crackhead for his zine, and then he renames it later. The anonymous screen name is JOCROX. And there's speculation as to what this name is and what it means and how it is meant to be pronounced. I believe one of the messages compares Mia to Josie and the Pussycats, so I think we decide that the screen name is probably Josie Rocks, like Josie Rocks. This is the thrilling stuff going on in Mia's life. Then she does her TV interview, and she's super nervous about it and has not been prepped beforehand somehow. And so when Beverly mentions the big news, referring to Mia finding out that she's a princess, Mia thinks that she's talking about becoming a big sister and her mom and Mr. Giannini getting married. So she spills that information. And so now Grandmère is going to throw them a big extravagant wedding. Her mom and Mr. Giannini want a small courthouse situation, but Grandmère does not want that. She wants a big party. The interview airs, and Mia said some stuff in it about not being very popular, and now a lot of people are upset with her. Lily and Mia's other friend Shamika are mad at the insinuation that they're not popular. A lot of the student body is upset with Mia for insinuating that the school is sort of cliquey. Tina is basically the only one who's not mad at her. Then Grandmère flies out Mia's mom's parents, so her maternal grandparents, and Mia's cousin Hank. They are from Versailles, Indiana, and Mia has only met them twice before this. Mia's mom is not super into her family. She has never forgiven them for A, not supporting her decision to have me, B, not approving of the way she was raising me, and C, voting for George Bush Sr. as well as his son. Relatable. Then her cousin Hank comes into school with her. I don't think that should be allowed. You can't just bring a random person into a school, just drag him along to all of our classes. But everyone thinks Hank is really hot. Then Hank and Lily disappear for many hours. Mia thinks that they're going on dates, but we find out later that Lily was helping Hank achieve his dream of getting signed as an underwear model. Lily has connections, or I guess is just really tenacious and is able to get Hank a deal, and he is now going to move away from Indiana to New York. Then it's the day of the wedding. Mia has been continuously complaining to her dad about this wedding. Like, can't you talk to Grandmère? She's your mother. Get her to stop this. But her dad's kind of afraid of Grandmère, understandably, but he keeps saying that he'll take care of it. And we find out that what he means is that he helped Mom and Mr. Giannini elope to Cancun. Also, the wedding day is taking place on Halloween, so that night there's supposed to be a Halloween party. Mia was concerned that she wasn't going to be able to make it, but now the wedding isn't happening, so she is able to go to the Halloween party. She doesn't have a costume, but then Martha Stewart, who was invited to the wedding, helps her turn her pink gown into a Glinda costume. She then goes with her friends to see Rocky Horror and finds out that her secret admirer was Kenny from her biology class. She's kind of disappointed, but her mood is improved when Michael compliments her outfit. Book number 3, Princess in Love. It is Thanksgiving. Mia and her mom are going to go visit Mr. Giannini's family. My mother had already informed me in the car on the way over from Manhattan that Mr. Giannini's parents are very old-fashioned and are used to enjoying a conventional Thanksgiving meal. She does not think they will appreciate hearing my traditional Thanksgiving speech about how the Pilgrims are guilty of committing mass genocide by giving their new Native American friends blankets filled with the smallpox virus, and that it is reprehensible that we as a country annually celebrate this rape and destruction of an entire culture. Instead, my mother said, I should discuss more neutral topics, such as the weather. They go to Thanksgiving, it doesn't go super well, but it doesn't matter. It's Mr. Giannini's side of the family. Who cares about them? Then we learn that Kenny and Mia are dating. After he expressed his interest in her, she was like, I guess. So they are now dating. And Michael might be dating some girl named Judith Gershner. She is super smart, and for her science fair project, she cloned a fruit fly. Then we meet Mia's cousin, several times removed, named Sebastiano. He's a fashion designer, and he is going to design her dress for the Genovia Christmas ball. Then Mia ends up admitting to her dad that she has a crush on Michael, which he does not like, because Michael is older than her, and also he's just not thrilled about the idea of her with boys. But then Mia says that it doesn't even matter because Michael would never like her back. And her dad doesn't like that either. He's like, what? No, you're great. Then Kenny says that he loves her, and Mia's like, oh, cool. And apparently everybody knows that her and Kenny haven't even kissed yet, because she doesn't super want to. And so she talks about this whole situation with Tina, and she decides that she's going to break up with him. Then Grandmère makes her explain the whole situation to her. She's like, what's going on? And Grandmère is very callous. She's like, don't break up until you have someone else. Also, it'll be bad for your biology grade if you break up with him, because you're bio partners. Aren't you already doing bad in algebra? So then Mia decides not to break up with Kenny. Then Lily stages a walkout. It might still be about the deli situation. I didn't write down what it was about because it kind of doesn't matter. Mia panics because she doesn't want to do the walkout, but she also doesn't want to upset Lily. And so she takes the bathroom pass to go outside and ends up pulling the fire alarm when the walkout is supposed to happen. So now no one's doing the walkout. Or everyone's doing the walkout, depending on how you look at it. And Mr. Giannini knows that she's the one that pulled the fire alarm, but also he kind of didn't want there to be a walkout, so he's like, whoever did that probably shouldn't have done it. But also, I'm kind of happy that it happened. So whoever did that is in the clear. Then Mia starts sending Michael anonymous love letters because she's like, it worked when Kenny did it to me. I am now dating him. Then Lana hisses at her that she knows about the fire alarm. And so Mia takes her cell phone and smashes it, which I don't think is going to work for making Lana less upset with you. Whatever blackmail she was planning before, now she's extra mad. Then Sebastiano leaks photos of Mia in all of the different dresses he had her try on, because it's basically publicity for his new fashion line. Mia is embarrassed because now it looks like she's like trying to be a model or something. Kids at school are making fun of her. And Sebastiano is like, what? I got permission from Grandmère. And now everyone's mad at her. Mia then decides to hold a press conference, which is growth because before she had been trying to avoid doing any press. And she says that proceeds from the dresses in the ads will be donated to Greenpeace, which Sebastiano is not super pleased about. She's also been getting yellow roses, and she thought that they were maybe in response to the anonymous love letters that she was sending Michael, but it turns out that it's actually like a secret Santa thing that the school is doing, and the yellow roses are from Boris, the violin guy. Then it is time for the Winter Carnival, which is like where all of the clubs are showing off different things that they've made. And Michael and the computer club have made a game making fun of various faculty at the school. Like you walk around the school and meet different teachers who they've dressed up in little costumes. But when Mia comes over, he shows her a different game. It is a response to all of her anonymous love letters, and it says, I love you too. She freaks out and runs off, and then Kenny breaks up with her because he thinks that she's into Boris because of the roses. And she's like, well, I want to break up with him, but I don't want him to think I'm into Boris. And her friends are like, let it go, let it go. It doesn't matter. So then she starts to hide out, and she plans on moving to Genovia forever. And Grandmère comes over and apologizes for the dress thing, and she makes her stop being a coward and go to the non-denominational winter dance. She was originally going to go with Kenny, but now she's not dating Kenny, so now she's going to go alone. And Grandmère is like, whatever, just go. So she goes to the dance, and then Michael shows up, which he doesn't really do school events. And it turns out that Tina told Lily about the anonymous love letters, and then Lily told Michael. Lily has apparently known the entire time that they were into each other, and has just been waiting to see how it plays out. But then Mia and Michael kiss. And now I would like to talk about the age gap. So He is a senior. He is going to Columbia next year. He got like early choice or whatever because it's only December, but he's already committed to Columbia. I sort of feel like if Meg Cabot were to write these books today, she would have changed the age gap so it's not quite so significant. I don't want to say it was a different time, but in some ways it kind of was. Like, I think people nowadays get a lot more upset about age gaps than they did 25 years ago. And rightfully so. I think that the gap between Mia and Michael is too significant, especially on a maturity level. It doesn't help that we're in Mia's head all the time and she is extremely immature. So you're like, I don't know if you should be dating this high school senior who's going away to college soon and is pretty mature and rational compared to you. It's also weird because it's like, how long has he been into her? This is also the unreliable narrator thing where it's like, Mia is way more attractive than she thinks she is. So that's a confusing element. She does not assume that people are ever into her, even though many boys over the course of the series are. The main reason I don't like age gaps in media that is for teens is I don't want it to normalize it for those teens of like, yeah, date a high school senior. That's totally chill, and he's normal for wanting to go out with a 14-year-old. So that's the main reason I'm not into it. I'm not into the idea of any tween girls reading these books and being like, wow, dating a high school senior, dating an older guy, how cool. It's like, no. But then it's also interesting that in some ways this is the main thing from this series that hasn't aged well. There's so much political stuff in these books that have aged really well, and I think in some ways these books were very ahead of their time for depicting those things in YA books. Weirdly, I think these books have aged quite well, considering. There's just this one big glaring problem, which is the main romance of the entire series. I think they should have been closer in age. And spoilers, they are endgame, so they are going to be together. But later on, it doesn't matter as much, because obviously when you're older, a 4-year age difference doesn't really matter. That's like nothing. Dan and Phil have a 4-year age difference, and I think they are beautiful, perfect soulmates, so... But when you're teenagers, a 4-year age difference is like kind of big. Anyway, I'm not going to come down real hard on either side of it's okay or it's bad. I think it's nebulously somewhere in the middle with a big asterisk next to it that says 26 years ago. But those are my jumbly thoughts on the matter. Now let's go to book number 4, Princess in Waiting. Mia is going to stay in Genovia for Christmas, and she misses Michael. And she is also bringing up the idea of installing parking meters in Genovia, because this will discourage so many people from parking on these old historic streets and discourage tourists who are like driving in and increase revenue. And so there's a subplot of this book where Mia is pushing for parking meters. Grandmère is not into it. We keep discussing this issue in government. We are also introduced to Mia's philandering distant cousin Renee. Similar to Sebastiano, distant meaning like quite distant in the way that like all royals are kind of related distantly. But it is weird because Grandmère is kind of trying to set her up with Renee, and so we are saying cousin. We do mean barely related, but it is weird. Mia misses Michael and wants to talk about Michael, and Grandmère is not into it. She says that Mia should not look so desperate, and she recommends the book Jane Eyre to her. Then we hear that there was a TV movie about Mia's life. Lily was not portrayed favorably and wants to sue. Not portrayed favorably in the sense that she was not immediately into Mia's princess thing, and Mia's like, correct, you were not. Tina saw it though and said it wasn't as bad as Lily is making it out to be. She said the lady who played Principal Gupta was hilarious. But Tina wasn't in the movie on account of her dad having found out about it beforehand and threatening the filmmakers with a lawsuit if they mentioned his daughter's name anywhere. Mr. Hakim Baba worries a lot about Tina getting kidnapped by a rival oil sheik. Tina says she wouldn't mind being kidnapped, though, if the rival oil sheik was cute and willing to commit to a long-term relationship and remember to buy her one of those diamond heart pendants from Kay Jewelers on Valentine's Day. Tina says the girl who played Lana Weinberger in the movie did a fabulous job and should get an Emmy. Also that she didn't think Lana was going to be too happy about how she was portrayed as a jealous princess wannabe. Also the guy who played Josh was a babe. Tina is trying to find his email address. Mia has very low self-esteem in this book. There's a lot of Michael concerns. It's kind of exhausting. I was telling my mom, I was like, how long can we maintain this premise being interesting? And I was like, it turns out the answer is 4. The answer is book 4. We've lost it. I will say, I do like the later books. The middle books just really feel like the middle books in a 10-book series, you know? Nothing's happening. Nothing matters. The plots are all kind of ridiculous. But it's not all downhill from here. Then Grandmère pulls her out of school so that she can get a new gown. Then she has to go to a ball with Renee, and so she has to miss her first date with Michael because they've barely been together. They got together at the non-denominational winter dance, and then she went to Genovia for Christmas, and now she's back. So they've barely seen each other. But both Tina and Mia are kind of trying to take what they're calling the Jane Eyre approach of not being too desperate or needy with their boyfriends. So Mia is trying to be really chill about it. But then we see the flaw in the Jane Eyre approach when Tina's boyfriend breaks up with her. She had a boyfriend who went to another school. Then we get a victory with the parking meters, and Mia's dad is able to get her out of going to the ball. But then Grandmère tries to guilt her into going to the ball by saying that she wants to show Mia off to her childhood rival Genevieve. And then at the ball, Grandmère says that Mia and Renee are dating, which Mia is super pissed about, and Renee helps sneak her out of the ball so that she can go and see Michael, and they have a nice little date at home. Mia also gives Michael a birthday present, which is a moon rock, a rock from the moon that Genovia received as a gift from Nixon, and she stole one of the rocks from the palace while she was in Genovia. Book 4.5. This is a novella called Project Princess. There are 4 novellas, and I mean, I'm not super sure that all of the main novels needed to exist. So as for the novellas, I definitely don't feel like they add that much. It's like, this stuff couldn't even go in the main books. Don't you want to read that? Like, no. I mean, they're fine quality-wise. Like, they're still fun and funny to the extent that all of the books are. But it's just like, why? Why? This novella is about Mia and her friends doing charity work over spring break. They go to build a house in West Virginia. And Mia's really excited about it because Michael is going. And so they will be not alone, but like away together. So that's exciting. I did like this one exchange where a local asks why she's in West Virginia building a house if she's a princess. I explained to Mr. Harmeyer that I had been compelled to join Housing for the Hopeful instead of spending my spring break riding on jet skis out of a keen sense of civic duty and a desire to learn new skills. Mr. Harmeyer just looked at me funny and went, "What?" So then I told Mrs. Harmeyer I was there to make out with my boyfriend. She looked really interested then and wanted to know which of the guys in the line was mine, and when I pointed to Michael, she went, "Ooh-ee, he's a looker," which filled me with internal pride, but also made me feel like smacking her. Book number 5, Princess in Pink. Mia's mom wants a home birth, which Mia is not happy about. Mia's kind of a hypochondriac. I mean, she's a worrier generally, but also she has a lot of medical worries. And so she's like, don't you want to give birth in a nice clean hospital? Mia is also now working on the school newspaper, but she doesn't get to do anything interesting. She's mostly just covering what the cafeteria is serving. Also, she's very concerned because Michael hasn't invited her to prom. It is senior prom, so only seniors can go unless if you are invited by a senior, and Michael is a senior, so she wants him to invite her to prom. Then Mia turns 15, because she's been 14 this whole time. Michael and his band play music for her. Oh, he started a band, which is funny because he's in a band in the movie, and he wasn't in a band in that first book. But now he's in a band. The band includes some seniors and also Boris Polkowski, because he is a violin virtuoso. Is he playing violin in the band? I don't remember. I think he can play other instruments. Mia actually helps name the band. She suggests Skinner box, which is a psychiatry reference. It's the like box that you put rats in to do experiments on them. So then Michael changes his IM screen name to Skinner box. In addition to having his band play music for her, Michael also gives her a snowflake necklace, which is meant to represent the non-denominational winter dance where they first got together. Mia also gets, from her parents, a cell phone. Then, at Mia's birthday dinner, Grandmère brings her hairless poodle, and the dog escapes and runs around the restaurant and trips a waiter named Zhangbu, who then spills soup on Grandmère and is fired. Definitely 100% Grandmère's fault. And so Lily is super upset about this. She thinks it's a workers' rights violation, and so she starts doing protests. Then it's time for Mia's birthday party, separate from the fancy birthday dinner. And Mia's still really upset that she hasn't been asked to prom. And so Tina suggests that they play a game of 7 Minutes in Heaven. And when she's in the closet with Michael, that will somehow, she can get him to ask her then. I don't know. It's a bad plan. And when they're in the closet together, Michael is like, I don't want to go to prom. Prom is lame. And it's like, you idiot, she wants to go to prom. Then Lily takes Jongbu, the waiter who was fired. She's invited him to the party, and then they go into the closet to play 7 Minutes in Heaven, which at this point she was dating Boris. Remember, they went to the dance together at some point? And so now Boris is sad. But Jongbu is very hot. He's from Nepal, and he was going to be a Sherpa, but he's afraid of heights, so he moved to New York to make it in the restaurant industry. And he's 18 and I think has a six-pack or something. So Lily has left Boris for Jongbu and is making out with him in Mia's closet. And then Mr. Giannini shows up and kicks everybody out of the house. He's like, what the hell is going on? Get out. Then, in Gifted and Talented, Boris threatens to drop a globe on his head if Lily doesn't take him back. And then he does. And so Michael and Mia have to help him, like, get to the doctor because his head is bleeding. Later, Mia is talking to Grandmère, and she says that to get Michael to go to prom with Mia, she has to give him what he wants. And Mia's like, what does he want? And Grandmère's like, what every man wants. And Mia still doesn't get it. Grandmère is kind of sexual. She's had many lovers. She's very judgy of Mia's love life. But Mia does not pick up on what Grandmère is talking about. And Mia's like, oh, well, what Michael really wants is for his band to get to play a gig. So maybe I could get the prom committee to let Michael's band play at prom. But then she finds out that Lana is in charge of prom, which is crazy because Lana is a freshman. It's stuff like this that made me unclear as to how old Lana was. I definitely thought that Lana was a senior. She's not. She's in the same grade as Mia. Then Mia and Lily have a big fight about Lily dumping Boris for Jongbu and Jongbu getting fired because of Grandmère, and, you know, they're mad at each other. What's new? Also, Mia has to write a paper, I think for health class, on a disease, and she gets assigned Asperger's, and she's like, ugh, I got a lame disease. But then as she's researching it, she's like, wow, these characteristics fit a lot of the people that I know. Which, who knew that Meg Cabot in, I don't know, 2004 was going to predict people diagnosing other people with autism. Big thing on the internet nowadays. Then Mia writes a school paper article about the dog incident, exposing the fact that this whole Jongbu incident was because of Grandmère and her dog. Because up to this point, some people had alleged, like, I think I saw a rat in that restaurant running around. But Grandmère had been denying that she brought a dog or that it was her fault at all or whatever. So Mia has really exposed everything with this school paper article. And so now all of the hotel and restaurant workers in New York go on strike. And Lily is at the press conference along with the union representatives, and she reads Mia's school paper article at the press conference. And so now Mia's dad and Grandmère are very mad. Also, because all of the hotel and restaurant workers are on strike, prom is canceled because it can't be held in the hotel it was going to be held in. So now everybody's mad at Mia. Also, Tina and Boris have now gotten together. Lily also realizes that Jongbu is a sellout because he sells his life story to open a restaurant. And I think that's fair of him. I don't think she should be mad at him for that. But she breaks up with Jongbu, and now she's upset that Boris is off the market. Also, because all of the hotel and restaurant workers are on strike, the plaza is now an inhospitable environment for Grandmère. So she comes to stay with Mia and her mom. But as an apology for this whole situation, Grandmère finds somewhere that will be able to host the prom. And Mia tells Lana about it on the condition that Michael's band gets to play. And then Mia says to Michael, like, well, got you a gig. Like, now you have to come. And he's like, okay. And it turns out that the location that Grandmère got was the observation deck of the Empire State Building. I think maybe because she dated someone who was involved in that. Also, Mia's mom goes into labor, I believe on prom night, and Mia now has a little brother named Rocky. Then we get a sequel movie called Princess Diaries 2: Royal Engagement. This is not related to any of the books. This is a sequel to the first movie, not taking any plot elements from any of the sequel books. And as you may be able to tell from the title, this is a romance movie, but not starring Michael. Michael is not in this movie. The explanation given is that he is touring with his band. I know some people hate that Michael is not the romantic interest. They think that Michael and Mia should have ended up together, which is funny because that is what happens in the books. But I so don't care about the Michael from the movies that I don't mind. This movie takes place in Genovia. Mia is now 21. She has graduated college and is moving to Genovia to take over the throne. She has a 21st birthday party at the Genovian Palace. There's a lot of dignitaries and people and also eligible bachelors there. She's supposed to dance with all of the eligible bachelors. All of them are comedically unappealing. But she does meet a man named Nicholas, who's played by Chris Pine, and he's very suave and dreamy. She accidentally steps on his foot, but he forgives her, and they briefly dance together. There's also a cameo from Raven-Symoné, I guess because this is a Disney production. And we also learn that there's an evil member of parliament who wants to take over the throne. There was an evil couple in the last movie who vaguely wanted to take over the throne, and they were excited that Mia was going to not be a princess. But they weren't, like, doing anything about it. They were just off to the side being like, haha, wouldn't it be great if she wasn't princess? And then she is princess, and they're sad about it. But this evil parliament man is going to do some schemes because his nephew is technically in line for the throne. And I guess you don't become eligible until you're 21, and his nephew has also turned 21. So now he gets to also be in the running. Of course, aren't we all thinking, how is this possible? Mia is first in line for the throne. But apparently, Genovia has a law on the books that a woman must be married to take the throne. And the queen is like, we've never enforced that law. That's ridiculous. But it is decided that Mia is going to get 30 days to get married, otherwise she will forfeit the throne. Then we find out that the evil man's nephew is Nicholas from earlier, the hot guy. Oh no, what are we going to do about this? Well, the queen decides to invite them to come live at the palace so she can keep an eye on them, and also so that Mia can keep running into Chris Pine. We have a lot of comic relief in this movie. This movie is very jokey in tone. I actually looked it up. I was like, did we change directors? No, we did not change directors. It's still Gary Marshall, but we did change writers. This movie is written by Shonda Rhimes. I have not seen any Shonda Rhimes project, so I don't know if this is her usual vibe, or if she thought that she was writing a kid's movie, so she had to make it jokey silly. But I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I felt like the first movie was funny without being jokey silly. One thing about me, you might not know this, because it doesn't really come up, but I hate when things are trying really hard to be funny, because I'm just imagining the writer sitting there going like, ooh, this will be a good joke, and it's often not. Having things be successfully funny and not over the top and trying too hard is a really fine line for me. This movie does not accomplish it. We have these two ladies' maids who have British accents and curtsy a lot and do little dances. Don't like them. We have an intern for the security department who keeps following Joe around. Joe, the bodyguard, head of security. And we have another security guy who has sunglasses on all the time. They're fine. I think I find them less annoying because I like Joe. I think Joe is funny, and often the security guys are in scenes with Joe, so that helps. There is a Scottish woman who hosts a news show, and she's constantly popping up to sort of narrate what's happening. There is kind of a lot of exposition in this movie of like characters explaining things that are happening, where I feel like that wasn't as much of a problem in the first movie. A lot of the scene transitions are like comedy vignettes. Like, we need to end one scene and go to another scene. So as a transition, we'll have one of the palace staff brushing the teeth of the stone lion outside in the garden. Little visual gags like that all the time. And then Lily shows up. The queen flew her out to Genovia, and then she was hiding in Mia's closet, and they reunite. I have pretty bad face blindness. It's gotten a lot better once I realized that's what was happening, and I work a lot harder to try and recognize people. But when I was a kid, I didn't know that that's what was happening. I didn't know that I couldn't recognize people. And Lily comes in and she has completely different hair. So I definitely remember watching this movie as a kid and being like, why are we excited about this woman? Who is that? But now it is time to decide on who Mia's husband is going to be. because she has decided that she is going to go through with getting married so that she can rule Genovia. And they have to pick a husband real fast. So they go through a slideshow of a bunch of different men. One of them is the 21-year-old Prince William, who is not an option. They just wanted to put him on screen for a moment. There's also a man who Mia's like, he's cute. And Joe, the bodyguard, is like, his boyfriend thinks so also. And both Mia and Lily are like, right on. We support gays in Genovia. And they end up picking this English man named Andrew. And they get engaged and start planning the wedding. So then we check back in with the evil man. And the evil man is not pleased that Mia actually went through with getting engaged. But his new plan is to have Nicholas seduce her. And then she will realize that she does not want to be in a loveless marriage. We get a scene in the palace where Mia is trying to hide from her maids. And she's arguing with Nicholas about something as he's like trying to get all up in her space. And they end up hiding in a closet together. Also, if you remember, Joe and the Queen kind of had a little bit of a thing going on. And he tells her that now that she's no longer going to be queen, the two of them can be together. And the Queen is like, no, I don't think I can. So Joe's all sad. We do a brief princess lesson about how to use fans, just because people liked the princess lessons in the first movie, so we should do a princess lesson. And then we can have Anne Hathaway make funny faces. Then Mia has to take part in a ceremony where she rides side saddle, and the evil man spooks her horse with a rubber snake, and thus exposes that Mia was faking riding side saddle with a wooden leg. And Mia is horribly embarrassed. Nicholas tries to go comfort her, but Mia doesn't want to talk to him. Then there's a garden party, and Mia and Nicholas end up arguing, and then he kisses her, and then they argue some more, and then they fall into a fountain. And now she's embarrassed again because she's all soaking wet. So she's not doing great in terms of the whole acting queen-like in front of the people of Genovia. But then there is a Genovian parade. Independence Day, maybe? Something. Which the fact that Genovia has an Independence Day means that they were at some point a colony. I'm gonna guess a colony of France, right? And during this parade, Mia stops everything to go say hi to an orphan girl that she saw in the crowd who was being teased. And she ends up inviting all of the orphans to join the parade. And everyone's like, wow, Princess Mia's so nice. She also now wants the Winter Palace to be converted into an orphanage. I don't think it's set up for that. I don't know. Do we not have any more modern buildings we could use? Then for Mia's bridal shower, I guess, is the excuse. We have a big princess sleepover, and a bunch of princesses from all over the world all come to the Genovian palace to have a slumber party. They ride mattresses down a giant slide. They do a talent show. The Queen and Raven sing karaoke. It's a big waste of my time, personally. I think it's wish fulfillment fantasy for the little girls watching it. But kind of like I've said with fairies, how when I was a little girl, I did not want to be a little girl who had a friend who was a fairy. I wanted to be a fairy. When I was a little girl, I did not want to be an orphan girl that Princess Mia is nice to, or invited to a big princess slumber party. I wanted Princess Mia to get her happy ending. I do not want reminders of other little girls, even when I was a little girl. Because it feels like the writers saying, this is where you fit into this story. And it's like, I don't want to fit into that. I don't want to be involved. But now that Princess Mia has been so nice to so many little girls, Nicholas no longer wants to do the evil scheme. He likes her too much. And the evil man is like, of course, we'll stop doing the evil scheme. But he's lying. Then Mia has to shoot a ceremonial flaming arrow. And because she's clumsy and uncoordinated, it's not going well. But Nicholas comes over and helps her. Then he comes and throws rocks at her window that night, and they sneak out together and ride horses to the lake and spend the night there. But then there's a photographer there in the morning, and Mia thinks he set it all up. She feels betrayed, so she rides away on his horse. It's now a scandal that Mia was seen out with Nicholas. Not a very big scandal, like we move on from it pretty fast. But she talks to Andrew, her betrothed, and the two of them agree that they don't love each other. There's no spark between them. But they're still gonna get married anyway, because they agreed to, and it's the right thing for Genovia. So then it's the day of the wedding. Paolo shows up and does her hair in many comical bad ways. And then the evil man goes to the wedding, but Nicholas stays home. But then his maid tells him that something fishy is going on, so he should probably show up at the wedding. And so then Nicholas has to ride on a penny farthing bicycle that they have, because he doesn't have his horse, because Mia took that. And then he borrows a farmer's horse. At the wedding, Mia is walking down the aisle, and then she panics and runs away. The queen comes over, and Mia's like, I just need a minute, I can do it. And the queen is like, listen, you don't have to do this. I sacrificed so much for Genovia. I lost my chance at true love. You shouldn't make the same mistake I did. And so then Mia comes back and gives a big speech about how she can be a good queen without getting married. And then the evil man stands up indignantly and is like, there's another heir. It should be my nephew. But Nicholas, who has gotten there just in time, is like, no, it shouldn't be me. It should be Mia. I do not accept the throne. It should be hers. So they are able to pass an emergency motion through Parliament that Mia does not have to get married. Which, if we could have done that all along, why didn't we just do that earlier? But then, since we have this whole wedding all set up, Mia suggests that the Queen and Joe get married. And so the two of them finally get married. Later, Nicholas confesses his love to Mia, and Mia is crowned queen. The end. I did not like this movie as much as I thought I was going to. I had vaguely fond memories of it, but the movie itself, I was not super enjoying it. I think it's too cluttered. There's too many subplots and weird little things going on. I think we maybe needed to streamline it. Maybe cut out some of the comedic side characters. Because then it's also like, Lily is here, and she is occasionally giving one-liners, but there's so many other comedic side characters that she's in it a weird amount. I don't know. Strange movie. Now it's time for book 6, Princess in Training. And starting with this book, I was able to check out the audiobooks from the library. Now, for the audiobooks, books 1 through 3 are narrated by Anne Hathaway. I did not get to listen to those. Can't tell you how good they are. But books 4 through 10 are narrated by Clea Lewis. And I think she does a fantastic job. I like all the little voices she does for everybody. I think her standard Mia narration voice is good. I think it's more charming and entertaining than if I were to just read it on my own, because often my internal voice is less charitable. So having someone else read it, things come across in perhaps a more positive way than if it were left up to me. And also at this point, I'd read not even half of the Princess Diaries books, and I was getting kind of tired of them, so it was refreshing to have them in a new format. Mia is now starting the 10th grade. That's right, it took until book 6 for her to move up 1 grade level. She is super overprotective of her new little brother Rocky, and we learn that she stayed in Genovia over the summer. And while she was there, she dumped a bunch of snails into the bay to eat the non-native killer algae. And everyone's upset with her because now there's a bunch of snails, and we're concerned about the ecological impacts of this thing that she did. So we keep bringing up the algae and the snails throughout this book. Mia goes to school, and she has a new English teacher named Ms. Martinez, who is critical of Mia's writing and her focus on pop culture. This is one of those things where it feels like an author insert. Like, people have been critical of Meg Cabot writing romance and pop culture-y things. And so now we have this character who is critical, and we get to have Mia be mad at her about it. Also coming back from summer break, Boris is hot now. His violin instructor wanted him to lift weights to improve his something or other, and also he no longer has the retainer he was wearing. Something, whatever. Various physical changes. He is now hot. And everyone's like, what? Boris Polkowski, the violin guy, and Tina is very pleased because she is dating him. And Lily is not pleased because she dumped him. There's also a new androgynous student named Perrin, and we can't tell whether or not Perrin is a boy or a girl. Then, one day in the lunch line, Lana asks Mia if her and Michael have done it yet. And Mia's like, done what? And Lana's like, done it, you idiot. And Lana's like, college boys expect their girlfriends to do it. And this prompts a book-long freakout from Mia as to whether or not Michael wants them to do it. Lana is dating a new boy. His name is Ramon. He is an exchange student from Brazil who is on the soccer team. Presumably they're doing it. Then Lily nominates Mia to be student council president. And Mia's like, why would you do that? I don't want to be student council president. And it's because Lily can't nominate herself, and also she's concerned that no one would vote for her because no one really likes her. So the plan, and it takes a while for Lily to explain this, but I'm telling you now, is that Mia is going to win and then Lily is going to take over. So we just need Mia to win the election and have Lily be her successor or whatever. I don't know if that's how student council works. But Mia ends up telling Grandmère about student council, and she gets too excited about it. She likes the idea of Mia running for student council, so Mia definitely is not getting out of it. She's supposed to visit Michael's dorm on Saturday, and Michael's like, or I could come visit you, because I think her mom and Mr. Giannini are somewhere else, and Mia does not get the hint. Lily and Grandmère are now working together on Mia's campaign, and Mia's like, it's very scary, the idea of those two working together, and she realizes that Grandmère is excited that this will distract from the whole snail thing. Then her mom has a bunch of her feminist artist friends over at the apartment, and Mia, when her mom is out of the room, asks if college boys expect their girlfriends to do it. And they're like, not just college guys, all guys. And Mia's like, oh no. Then Mom and Mr. Giannini have to go take Rocky to Indiana to meet the grandparents. Because Mom's like, I definitely don't want my parents to come here. It's easier to just go visit them there. And while they're gone, Mia is going to stay in her own suite at the plaza. She does not invite Michael over. She instead hosts a slumber party. Then Lily makes Mia go to a soccer game. She thinks that Mia should go to events as part of her campaign. And Lily kind of abandons her. Lily goes and eavesdrops on all the parents. Then Lily goes and visits Michael in his dorm room, and Michael's roommate initially does not believe that Mia is actually Michael's girlfriend. He thinks it's some sort of prank. He is finally convinced, and then he apologizes to Mia and is basically like, I thought it was a joke because I thought you were super out of his league. Then Mia and Michael have a conversation about doing it. She's like, I don't want to have sex with you right now. And he's like, yeah, I'm not surprised. That was not the vibe you were putting out. And he's like, but when will you be ready? Because I'm not going to wait around forever. And she's like, I don't know. So they settle on, they're going to do it someday. Then we find out that the androgynous student Perrin is a girl. Lana rudely calls her a hermaphrodite, which I don't like. And so then Mia gets in a physical fight with Lana. Oh, I think I didn't mention it, but Lana is the other person who is running for student council. So it's Lana and Mia. Now they have gotten in a physical altercation, and now it is time for their debate. And because it's Mia, and because Grandmère is involved, the news media show up. But Mia actually does a really good job. She gives a very well-received speech. It's about the popular minority controlling things for everybody else, whatever. The problem in fiction when we're having any sort of writing that's supposed to be really amazing is that then you have to write that and put it in your thing. So like, this speech is amazing. So then you have to write that speech and you have to put it in your book. And then I'm going to read that speech and be like, I guess it's okay. There's a speech in a later book where we don't actually get it word for word on the page. We just get people reacting to the speech later, and I think that's a better approach. But Mia wins the election. And then also, the snail thing works out. The snails solved the algae problem, and the snails are all going to die, so it's like a net positive, I guess. Lily explains that she was concerned about Mia's speech and whether or not it was going to go well, so she had a secret weapon, which is that she found out that Ramon, the Brazilian exchange student playing soccer, actually already graduated, and he has been hired by the board of trustees to join the school and help out the soccer team, and Lily was going to expose that. I guess his connection to Lana that they're dating would have reflected badly on her, whatever. She didn't need to expose it for the election, but Ramon does get kicked out anyway. And then Mia goes to get pizza with Michael, and they agree to 3-month check-ins on the doing it situation. She says 6 months, he says 1 month, they compromise on 3. Do I want to be reading about Mia having sex check-ins with her college-age boyfriend? No, I don't. I don't want that. Then we get book 6.5, another novella, Princess Present. This is Christmas break in Genovia. Michael and Lily are visiting. We get some lists of what Mia wants and what she has gotten people. And then Lily, as you might expect, is a giant menace. She complains about the material excesses of the palace and is rude to various dinner guests, and then hooks up with various staff members and young royals. There's a game of strip bowling. Then Mia has an argument with Lily out on the beach, and while they're there, a cruise ship sinks. Then they have to host all of the cruise ship people in the palace. And then finally, she trades gifts with Michael. It's a real gift of the Magi situation. She has a collection of Buffy the Vampire Slayer action figures. There was only one she was missing. It was Military Xander. That's what he got her. She sold one of her Buffy action figures, Niles with the sombrero, I think, in order to buy him his present, which is a Star Wars poster. But it turns out that he's the one who was selling the Star Wars poster to get the money to buy the Military Xander action figure. So we have gained an action figure, lost an action figure, no movement on the poster, except that we lost money in the express shipping to Genovia. Book number 7, Party Princess. Can you believe there's more books? This is how I felt when I was reading it. I was like, wow, there's so many books. Mia is doing a not great job with student council because they have run out of money. They spent all the money on fancy recycling bins, and they need to rent the hall for the senior commencement ceremony, and they need $5,728. Whoops. Various people over the course of this book keep suggesting candle fundraising. Like, you know those school fundraiser organizations where you work with them and they give you... Where I've lived, it's often been candy bars. So they supply you with the candy bars and you sell the candy bars to raise money for your school, and you pay the company some amount of money for supplying you with the candy bars. This is that, but with novelty candles shaped like little objects. There's a strawberry one shaped like a strawberry. There's a set of Noah's Ark candles that has 2 of every animal, including unicorns. And every time people suggest that, Mia is like, no, we're not selling candles. That's lame. And I was like, girl, you need money. I don't know what to tell you. Meanwhile, Grandmère is trying to buy an estate. Some developer has made man-made islands off the coast of Dubai that look like countries, and she wants to buy the one that looks like Genovia. But she is being outbid by Jean-Paul Reynolds Abernathy III. Jean-Paul Reynolds Abernathy III is, I think, a producer, I guess very successful, and apparently his son, Jean-Paul Reynolds Abernathy IV, goes to Mia's school. So we're going to have a scheme about that. Grandmère is hosting a charity event to fundraise for the Genovian olive growers to try to impress people, and in some way this will help her be able to buy the estate. I'm unclear as to how this helps with that situation, but Mia's friends find out that there's a bunch of celebrities that are going to be there, and they all want to go. Meanwhile, Lily and Mia have both submitted short stories to 16 Magazine's creative writing contest. Here's a quote about Mia's story. No More Corn is about a sensitive young loner who becomes so distressed over the alienation he feels at the Upper East Side prep school his parents sent him to, as well as that school cafeteria's insistence on putting corn in the chili, ignoring his frequent requests to them not to do so, that he eventually jumps in front of an F train. But is this really a better plot than any of the ones in Lily's stories, which are all about young men and women coming to terms with their sexuality? I don't know. Mia's story is inspired by an actual student at the school who has been mentioned in multiple previous books before this, called The Guy Who Hates It When They Put Corn in the Chili. They don't know his name. And then both Mia and Lily's stories are rejected. I doubt that I'll ever write a better story than No More Corn. It was this total one-shot deal, inspired by the touching sight of the guy who hates it when they put corn in the chili, sitting in the Albert Einstein High School cafeteria, picking corn out of his chili, kernel by kernel, with the saddest look I have ever seen on a human being's face. I will never witness anything that moving ever again. Except for maybe the look on Tina Hakeem Baba's face when she found out they were canceling Joan of Arcadia. So now, Lily is upset and she wants to start their own school literary magazine, and in doing so, raise money. And Mia's like, that's not going to raise any money, but Lily is determined. Then Michael and Lily's parents are going out of town, and they don't want Lily staying home alone, so Michael is going to come stay at the apartment with her, and he's going to throw a party. And then Mia has a book-long crisis about not being a party girl, and her friends are like, Michael knows that you're not a party girl. And she's like, but what if I want him to think that I'm a party girl? And they're like, I think it's too late for that. I think you don't need to worry about it. Lily starts getting submissions for the literary magazine, which she's going to be calling Fat Louie's Pink Butthole, because she thinks that it is an evocative title and will get attention. And also, everybody knows that Mia has a cat named Fat Louie, and having it associated with Princess Mia is probably going to help sell copies. Then Grandmère reminisces about putting on a show to raise money in her youth, and she wants to do that with Mia. So she writes her own musical called Braid about the Genovian princess named Rosagund, who strangled a man to death with her braid. There's various stories about Genovian princesses of the past who have done heroic deeds, and these occasionally come up. This is one of them. I didn't write any of it down. Then, disastrously, we find out that the guy who hates it when they put corn in the chili is John Paul Abernathy IV. And we also realize he's kind of cute. So Mia and John Paul are cast as the leads in Grandmère's play because she wants John Paul Abernathy IV to be happy. I don't know what her plan is to try and get the dad to back out of buying this Genovia estate, whatever. This is part of her scheme, her ill-advised scheme, and now we have put a name to the face of the guy who hates it when they put corn in the chili. So they invite John Paul to sit with them at lunch. We find out that he writes poetry. We have some of the poetry in the book. It is bad. I think it's supposed to be bad. Then it's time for Michael's party. Mia wears an all-black outfit with a beret and a water bra. She drinks some beer, and all of her friends are like, "Are you drinking beer?" And she's like, "Yes." And then she does some dancing. Earlier, she had asked Lana, "What do you do at parties?" And Lana was like, "You just drink and dance and have fun." And Mia's like, "I don't know how to do those things." But she's dancing, and she's the only one dancing. And so then JP comes over to dance with her. We call John Paul JP. I'm going to start doing that from now on. I don't want you to be confused. JP comes up and dances with her. And then Lily asks whether or not that was supposed to be sexy dancing. And Mia's like, "No! Oh my god, no, it wasn't." And then she freaks out about that she was sexy dancing with another boy while her boyfriend was in the room. She finally sees Michael later, and he says that he's not upset about the sexy dancing, and that he didn't think she had ill intent, and that he's been in a bad mood because his parents are separating. Because we now know JP, and he's now kind of part of the friend group, Mia keeps trying to get Lily to take her story out of the magazine, because she's like, it's about him killing himself, so I would like it to not be published. And Lily's like, "You didn't mind it being published in 16 magazine." And Mia's like, "Because he wasn't going to read it in 16 magazine, a literary magazine at our school. He might read it, or someone might read it and tell him about it." But Lily refuses to take it out because she's like, "It's named after your cat. You're part of the draw of this magazine. You have to have a story in this magazine." Then we find out that the musical that Grandmère is having them participate in is going to be performed at the charity event with all the celebrities present. And then Grandmère rewrites the ending to have a kiss between Mia and JP's characters. And JP is like, "Once we're on stage, no one can control what we do. Like, we don't have to do it. Don't worry about it." And Mia thinks that's very sweet, and she kisses him on the cheek. And then her and Lily fight, because Lily is like, "What's going on between you and JP? I'm very upset," because of course she is. And then it's time for the literary magazine to be published. And Mia plans to hide all of the copies of it so that no one can read it. But as she's trying to hide them, she's going to hide them in the men's bathroom. She runs into JP, and she explains that there's a story in the magazine about him, and she's embarrassed about it and doesn't want him to read it. And he's like, "Okay, probably it would be better to just put them in those fancy new recycling bins you got as opposed to trying to hide them in the bathroom." And she's like, "Lily worked so hard on it, I can't recycle them." So she just puts them back. So Lily starts selling them, but then they are confiscated. Partially because of the title, partially because all of Lily's stories are NC-17, and so then no one gets to see the literary magazine. Then it's time to put on the musical, and it is preposterously successful. It's like one of those Tumblr stories where, like, everybody clapped, you know, except literally everybody clapped. All of these celebrities are like, "Wow, this musical about Rosagund, the Genovian heroine, written hastily by Grandmère, is so moving and great." And all of these high schoolers who aren't even in the drama club, because all of the people in drama club were working on their own musical and were not available to take part. All of these inexperienced teenagers did such a good job. It was so amazing. I feel like you're going to argue to me that we're supposed to interpret it as like everyone's being nice because it's the Princess of Genovia and the Queen of Genovia. But it really does feel like it's like, no, we were all freaked out about it, but then it actually turned out great. I was like, did it? I don't believe that, but okay. And in the end, Michael and JP switch places. So when she does the kiss in the end, she's kissing Michael. And then she apologizes again for the sexy dance and whatever. And he's like, well, Michael admitted, I did sort of enjoy the sexy dance. I goggled up at him. You did? I did, Michael said, leaning down to kiss me. If you promise me that next time you'll do it just for me. I promised. Did I ever? Then JP's dad lets Grandmère have the Genovia Estate Island thing. It was a mistake for me to bid on it in the first place. I never wanted Genovia, though it took me seeing this play tonight to realize it. It's that other one, the one with the car race. Monaco, Grandmère suggested coldly, looking like she smelled something even worse than cigar smoke. But then, she always looks like that when she's reminded of Genovia's closest neighbor. Yeah, that's the one. JP's dad looked grateful. I gotta remember that. Buying it for JP's mom, you know, for an anniversary present. She loves that movie star, the one who was princess there. What was her name? Grace Kelly, Grandmère said in an even colder voice. Then we find out that the reason that Grandmère added that kiss to the end of the play is because she wanted Mia to kiss other boys and sort of play the field a little bit. She's like, you've been obsessed with this Michael boy. There are other boys. You're very young. But Mia speculates that part of the reason is because JP is very rich. Book 7.5, Sweet 16 Princess. Another novella. Lana has an amazing Sweet 16 party. So Lily wants Mia to show her up. And then Grandmère gets her involved in MTV's Super Sweet 16, and the party is going to have a Destiny's Child reunion and luxury shopping and jet skis all in Genovia, and that's going to be amazing for Genovian tourism. And Mia is like, no, that will make me look like a spoiled brat. And her friends are like, it sounded kind of cool, actually. I don't know. And Lily is very upset that this party isn't happening. She says that Mia is being selfish because of what happened at her last birthday party with the 7 Minutes in Heaven debacle. Lily scooted her chair back and ran, pretty melodramatically if you ask me, to the ladies' room. I didn't go after her. Neither did Tina. Instead, Ling Su did, saying with a sigh, I guess it's my turn anyway. I like the implication that they all take turns dealing with Lily, because it does feel like a constant problem of like, someone needs to go deal with Lily. Then we realize that possibly Lily wants to be on MTV because her rival's show got picked up, but Lily tells it like it is, hasn't been picked up, and she's jealous and wants to get on a bigger network, even if she's just a background in the Sweet 16 party. Then Lily asks, what is it going to take for Mia to trust her again after the whole literary magazine thing? I think that's what she's referring to. The thing about Lily is there's many things she could be referring to. And then Mia says that Lily has to tell JP that she likes him, because Lily has a crush on JP. Then for her birthday, Mia thinks that she's going on a romantic dinner with Michael, but in fact he takes her to a Rockefeller Center ice rink party. And then Lily tells JP that she loves him, and he just says thank you. Book 7.75, Valentine Princess. It's another novella. Mia is going to Genovia for summer break, and she finds her diary from freshman year about Valentine's Day. So this is about Valentine's Day in the past. Lily and Michael and Mia talk about the origins of Valentine's Day, because Lily thinks that it's just a Hallmark holiday, and Michael says it's a ritual for Juno and Lupercus, but Michael says that he doesn't celebrate Valentine's Day. Regardless, Mia makes him a handmade coupon book, and he makes them dinner reservations, but she's having a sleepover with her friends because she thought that he didn't celebrate it, so they decide to go out on the 15th, which that would have been the second day of the old pagan festival, so that's kind of cute, I guess. Book number 8, Princess on the Brink. We are coming back from summer break, so it is now junior year for Mia, and Mia has a discussion with Tina speculating over whether or not Lily and JP have done it. Also, Tina recently received a gift from her aunt that is a book titled Your Precious Gift. So throughout the book, we use the phrase precious gift a lot, which is funny. Mia confronts Lily to ask whether she and JP have done it, and Mia finds out that Lily touched Boris you-know-where when they were dating, and then Mia asks about that. Well, for starters, what did it feel like? Lily just shrugged. Skin? I stared at her. That's all? Just skin? That's what it's made out of, Lily said. What would you expect it to feel like? I don't know, I said. It's kind of hard to judge these things through layers of denim, especially buttonfly. That's a lot of rivets. In Tina's romance novels, they always say it feels like molten satin over a steel rod of desire. Lily considered this. Then she shrugged again and went, well, yeah, that too. Meanwhile, Michael is working on developing robotic heart surgery. He was in computer club, so I guess this is the direction his life is going. I don't know. This year, Mia has chemistry class with both Kenny and JP. She does not realize this, but both of them are into her. She and Kenny briefly dated. He still kind of likes her. JP definitely likes her. And there's a lot of note passing in chemistry class. And then the plaza is being converted into luxury condos. Grandmère is going to move into one of these condos, but she doesn't want to stay in the plaza while it's being renovated. So she keeps hopping between different hotels that she hates for various different reasons. Then, Michael tells Mia that he's moving to Japan. His robot prototype works, and he's going to work on it with a Japanese company to make a final version of this robot. And it could take a year or more. And then Mia freaks out. Michael says it might be good for them to sort of have a little bit of a break from each other, because it's kind of hard to be around her and not have sex. And it'll also be nice for him to prove that he's a worthy partner for her and has his own merits. Because right now he's just that guy Mia's dating that she knows from high school. But Mia is, of course, distraught. At school, Boris says that long distance never works. He knows this from his experience in various orchestras. People would go play for orchestras in different cities and would say that they were going to try and do long distance, but there's always another clarinetist. Mia is now running again for student council, this time unopposed, but Lily feels the need to run a fear-based campaign, like Mia's gonna know what to do if various natural disasters happen because she's a princess. And Mia's like, this is kind of stupid. I will run under the condition that you tell me whether or not you and JP did it. And Lily's like, is that the only reason you're running? And Mia's like, yep. Then Mia tries to explain to her dad about how Michael's trying to prove himself. She compares it to Aragorn and Arwen and the Elf King from Lord of the Rings. And her dad's like, who's the Elf King? And she's like, you are. And he's like, oh, cool. Grandmère briefly stays in the Ritz, but she hates it. But it's paid for through the week, so she gives Mia the key. Well, the rooms are yours, Grandmère said, sliding the key card closer to me, to do with whatever it is you wish. Personally, if I still lived with my parents and my paramour was leaving on a year-long quest to prove himself to my father, I would use the rooms to stage a very private and very romantic goodbye. But that is just me. I've always been a very passionate woman, in touch with my emotions. I've often noticed that I blah, blah, blah. Mia does not realize at the time, but she realizes later that Grandmère is giving her the room to have sex in. She didn't get it. She later realizes, is she giving me a sex room? Yes. And she's like, maybe I should do it with him to make him stay, because then he won't want to go to Japan if he can do it with me whenever he wants. She's nervous about it, but she does seem kind of into the idea. She's like, I think I'm ready. So she invites him to the suite, and at the suite, he's like, you're not doing this to keep me from going to Japan, right? And she's like, no. She's like, I think that we should give each other the precious gift of our virginity. And he's like, what? And she's like, you know, your precious gift. And he's like, oh no, I already gave that away. And she absolutely freaks out. She's like, with who? And he's like, well, now I don't want to tell you because I'm afraid you're going to go murder her. And apparently it was with Judith Gershner, which she had speculated that he was hooking up with Judith Gershner. So it's validating for her that she was right. And he's like, it's before you started sending me the anonymous love letters. I didn't even know you were into me. I wasn't going to wait around for you. And then Mia, because she's so angry, she's like, well, am I just going to sit back here in America waiting for you? And he's like, I guess not, if you don't want to. And so they break up. And then she gives back the snowflake necklace. And this is the thing about a 10-book series, is you're able to have so many running things and characters and side plots and whatever. You're able to build it so much. And I do think Meg Cabot is a talented writer, because when she gave back the snowflake necklace, I was like, oh, the snowflake necklace. No. And so then Mia talks to all of her friends and family, not all at once, various conversations over time. And they're all basically like, I think you're overreacting. He didn't cheat on you. He just had sex with someone else before you were together. That's not a very big deal. Maybe he should have told you, but you also never asked him. I don't think you need to break up with him over this. Michael keeps wanting to talk to her, like messaging her and calling her, and she keeps ignoring him. She's now very distraught, and even though she has been, I don't know, a lifelong vegetarian, but definitely for a long time, she gets a cheeseburger because she's so upset. Lily thinks she's being stupid. She's like, it's fine to wait until you're in love with the person to do it, but it's also fine to not do that. And you don't get to force that belief on him. That makes you no better than the fundamentalist judges in Iran. Because, you know, it's Lily. She has to be extremely over the top about this. And Mia says something along the lines of, actually, I don't know if she says it or if she just writes it in the journal, but basically her sentiment is, I know that's fine, and it's fine for other people. I just thought we shared the same values on this, and it's disappointing. So then JP breaks up with Lily. He doesn't love her, which we've kind of known this whole time because he's never said I love you back. And then Mia is passing notes with JP, and he's like, I don't love Lily, and after she was so mean to you, I know I'll never love her. And Mia's like, oh, that's just, you know, Lily being Lily. And JP is like, I think you were right to break up with Michael. And Mia's like, wow, a lot of boys would side with him on this. But, you know, I think virginity is a precious gift and it should be given away to someone you truly love. And JP is like, I feel the exact same way. That's why I've hung on to mine. And Mia's like, wow. And then Michael shows up at school to confront Mia because she keeps ignoring him. But Mia is about to kiss JP on the cheek because he was so nice to her about this whole thing. But then JP moves his head, so then they kiss on the mouth, and Michael sees this and he leaves. Mia's dad thinks that she's making a mistake letting Michael go. He let someone go and he really regretted it. And Mia's like, do you mean mom? And he admits yes. And so she's like, oh no. And so then she tries to catch Michael at the airport. She leaves school, she's missing her student council speech, and she doesn't make it in time. His flight takes off. She gets back, and Lily is super pissed that Mia kissed JP, and she doesn't do a great job of explaining herself, of like, he moved his head, I didn't mean to. But Lily is super happy because Mia disqualified herself from student council by not showing up to give the speech. And so Lily just got to become president because no one else wanted to do it. Mia still doesn't think that JP likes her like that, but he gets her Broadway tickets for Beauty and the Beast, and the two of them go together. But before they go, she sends Michael an email that just says sorry. Book 9, Princess Mia. She's waiting for Michael to get back to her. And in the meantime, she gets a letter from Lana Weinberger's mom inviting her to give a speech at her Women's Society event. This is a group called the Damina Ray, and Grandmère really wants her to do it. Grandmère has always wanted to be a Damina Ray, but due to a misunderstanding, she has been barred from entry. And she's hoping that Mia will now be an in. Meanwhile, Lily is never speaking to Mia again. Paparazzi took a picture of Mia and JP leaving Beauty and the Beast, and it was in the New York Post. And so now everybody thinks that she's dating JP. And she apologizes to him. She's like, ugh, I'm so sorry. This is what it's like hanging out with me. And he's like, no, I don't mind. It's fine. Mia searches the web to see what other stuff has been written about her. And she finds a website called IHateMiaThermopolis.com. Then we find out that Lily hooked up with someone from Kenny's Muay Thai fighting class. And then finally, Michael calls and officially breaks up with Mia. Mia is now depressed. She stays in bed for like a week. Her family and friends try to help her, well, with the exception of Lily, until finally her dad shows up with Lars and has Lars carry her to the limo. And they go to a psychologist. I like that this book is depicting teen mental health back in 2008. That's pretty cool. So for the rest of this book, Mia has therapy sessions and we talk about depression. She goes to her primary care doctor just to see if anything else is going on. And we find out that she has gained some weight and also grew an inch. Mia thinks that it's because she started eating meat again in her depression, and it's all of the hormones that they pump the animals with. She's gone up a whole cup size. She and Michael have agreed to be friends, and he starts emailing her with just like benign life observations. Like, oh, apparently they're making a new Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. But she doesn't get back to him. It's too painful. She finally goes back to school, and Lily isn't sitting at their lunch table. She's sitting with Kenny. She runs into Lana Weinberger, who is like, thanks for saying yes to my mom. And Lana notices that Mia's clothes don't really fit. Like, her skirt is safety pinned closed, and her bra doesn't really fit. And so Lana and her friend Trish say that Mia can come shopping with them. Lana's like, I know we haven't always gotten along, especially with all that Josh stuff, but I think we can move on. Also, you were always hanging out with that mean friend Lily. And so she goes shopping with Lana, and she has fun, and she gets a lot of cool clothes. Her mom is mad at how much money she spent. And so she calls Mia's dad and has Mia's dad talk to her. And he's like, I'm not upset with you. I'm just pretending to be upset with you. And she's like, oh my God, that's so not fair. And he's like, what? And she's like, I'm pretending that you're upset with me. And he's like, ah, got it. Then Mia goes to Tina's for a Drew Barrymore movie night. And Boris and JP come over. Tina is still dating Boris, and the two of them make out. And so Mia and JP go to the kitchen, where Mia tells him about going shopping with Lana and going to therapy. And he's about to confess that he likes her when they are interrupted. And Mia still does not think that he likes her. Grand-mère is really excited about Mia giving this speech for the Domina Rey, and so they go to the Genovian embassy to look at some old documents for inspiration. And Mia learns all about Princess Amelie, who was a teenage girl who ruled for 12 days during the plague, and so Mia gets a copy of a translation of her journal to read, and also gets to take home the portrait of Amelie. She reads all about Amelie's final days attempting to rule, being thwarted by her uncle Francesco, and how Amelie drew up some legislation that was lost to time. Lana and Trish now sit with Mia's friends at lunch, which is very funny. I love when villains get a redemption arc. It's like, here's Lana. She sits with us now. Then Lana is like, how long have Lily and Kenny been hooking up? And Mia's like, what? Because she didn't figure it out yet. Then, in chemistry, JP tries to confess his love to her again, but then Kenny's science experiment blows up. He was trying to synthesize nitro starch or something. He has to go to the emergency room, and Mia emails JP that she is not ready to date yet. Then, Mia is looking at Princess Amelie's portrait, and she finds the lost piece of legislation behind the portrait backing. And this piece of legislation declares Genovia a constitutional monarchy instead of an absolute monarchy. So like England. They have a royal family, but they don't actually rule. That's how Genovia was supposed to be, according to Princess Amelie, like 400 years ago. And so Mia wants to expose this piece of legislation, but both Dad and Grand-mère are not into that. And Mia's pissed. She thinks that they are not taking this seriously because the legislation is by a teen girl. And so Mia approaches Lily in the cafeteria. She's like, Lily hates injustice, so she might have some advice for me on this legislation. And Lily is pissed and completely blows up at Mia. She says that Michael always found her annoying, and she admits to creating IHateMiaThermopolis.com. Mia runs off to cry, of course, and then Boris shows up and is like, that wasn't true about Michael, and you should probably email him back. And Mia's like, Tina must have told him. Then Mia gives her Domina Rey speech, and she exposes the legislation. Then she goes home, and JP is waiting for her at her door. He congratulates her, and they kiss. And then she responds to one of Michael's emails. Book 10, Forever Princess. We have skipped forward to the end of Mia's senior year. Because she exposed the legislation, Genovia now has to have a prime minister, and her dad is running for prime minister against the distant cousin Renee. His platform is to increase tourism by bringing in chain restaurants, and Grand-mère and Dad are basically like, if Renee wins, Mia, you will have ruined Genovia. It's going to be Mia's 18th birthday soon, and there's going to be a birthday party. Her mom's parents are in town for this, and we keep trying to keep them busy, keep them out of the way. And it is also going to be prom soon. Mia doesn't really want to go. Also, JP hasn't asked her, and Tina is like, it's too late for him to book a room at the Waldorf, because the Waldorf is where they're having their prom, and all of the guys are booking rooms for their girlfriends to have sex in. Mia and Tina had wanted to lose their virginity on prom night, but Mia is now over that idea. Mia has been admitted into every college she applied to because of bringing democracy to a country, but all of her friends only got their second choice, so she's keeping it a secret that she got into so many colleges. Mia also worked on a senior project, which was a historical romance novel called Ransom My Heart, and she wants to get it published. She wants to do it under a pen name because she wants it to be by her own merit. She doesn't want it to be published because she's the Princess of Genovia, and she keeps getting rejection letters. And we also keep getting excerpts from the book within the diary. She lied to all of her friends that her senior project was about the history of Genovian olive oil pressing circa 1254 to 1650. But even saying that's what it was about, Michael still offered to read it, and Mia has ghosted him. JP is doing a play as his project. It is called A Prince Among Men, and Lily's show got picked up by a network in Korea. Mia's friends make her come with them prom dress shopping, and JP asks what dress she got, and she's like, "We're going? You have to ask me." Then there is a family meeting, and Mia is told that she has to decide what college she's going to by election day. And she is also told by her dad, because he didn't want her to find out in the press, that Michael is coming to Columbia to donate one of his cardio arms, which is the robot heart surgery robot. What? The robot heart surgery device he made. All of her friends want to go to the event at Columbia, and they're like, "Mia, you could get in." And she's like, "I do not want to. I don't want to ask." And so they use Lana's little sister's school newspaper press pass. Grand-mère wants Mia to get Michael to send them a cardio arm to Genovia, because that will help her dad in the polls. And Mia's like, "I don't really want to do that." Grand-mère's like, "We'll pay for it. Just there's a waiting list to get one of the devices." And Mia's like, "Still, I don't really want to use my connection to him." She kind of doesn't want to talk to him at all. Then she goes to dinner with JP, and the paparazzi are there, because they're always there when the two of them go out. And then she goes to Michael's event, and he's super hot, and all of his family is there. And she kind of freaks out and goes to the bathroom. And then Lily comes in, and Mia shows Lily the press pass and is like, "I'm trying to stay out of the way. Like, I don't want to ruin this for you and your family." And Lily's like, "Don't be ridiculous." And then she brings Mia to go see Michael. Lily suggests that the two of them have a private interview over coffee tomorrow, and he again asks to see her senior project. And she's like, "Fine, I'm gonna have to send it to him." So before she does that, she sends the project to all of her friends. Tina is, of course, super excited, but JP is very judgy about it. He's like, "Commercial fiction? You could do better than that." Then Mia and Michael have their coffee date, not date, whatever. He's very friendly and funny, and he says that Grand-mère sent him and his family invitations to her birthday party. Then she emails him a copy of the book, and then immediately gets embarrassed about it and wants to make him delete it, but he's very excited. Then Tina meets with Mia to ask her about her book, and she's like, "The sex scenes are really realistic. Have you already had sex with JP?" Because it turns out Tina has already had sex with Boris. And Tina's like, "Also, this book seems to kind of be about you and Michael." And Mia's like, "No, it's not." Then Mia has to go out to Applebee's with her mom's parents, and she asks JP to come over, and he's like, "No, I don't want to," because it's Applebee's. And she admits to herself that she's not attracted to JP like she is to Michael. She then turns in her newspaper story to Lily, who is the head of the school paper. Don't remember when that happened. And Lily acts nice to her and gives her a letter from Michael, which says that the book was hot, and the envelope also has a Princess Leia flash drive so she can back up a copy of the book. Then she has a spa day with her friends, and she admits to them that she hasn't had sex, but they are much more shocked about the book. Then Tina asks if she even wants to have sex with JP, because she doesn't have to. Then it's time for Mia's 18th birthday party. Her and Grand-mère are finally invited to join Domina Ray. JP has a long conversation with Sean Penn, because there's a bunch of celebrities at this party. And then JP asks her to prom in front of everybody with a promise ring, and Michael leaves. Then at school, she talks with Tina about Michael and going to prom with JP and losing her virginity. And then it turns out that Lily overheard all of that, and then JP messages that he has a hotel room secured. Meanwhile, Mia's parents are concerned about her picking a college, and no one's happy about the whole promise ring situation. Then Michael donates a cardio arm to the Genovian hospital. Everyone's like, "I think he still likes you." And in the email about him sending the cardio arm, he's like, "I did it to help your dad in the polls because I thought it would make you happy. So my motives were totally selfish. You don't have to thank me." But the two of them are going to go to lunch. Then Mia sees JP's play, and realizes that it is completely about them. It's about a princess at a prep school. There's a scene that plays out the beer and sexy dance story, and she is not happy about this. But apparently Sean Penn wants to option this play to be a movie. Sean Penn's just such a weird choice. Then Lily makes a campaign video to help Mia's dad. And Mia is super happy about this. She's like, oh my god, this is amazing. But JP doesn't think it's a big deal. He's like, she's still a Moskowitz. She's gonna want something in return. Michael always did. And then Boris defends Michael. He's like, we've been friends this whole time because we were in that band together. And he's gonna let me stay in his apartment and not charge me any rent while I go to school. Michael's great. Then JP says that he thinks Mia should move to Hollywood with him, and she can hang out and write books, but weightier books than the romance novels. And then Avon Books offers Mia a publishing deal. Tina is thrilled, but JP isn't that happy. He's like, you should try and get a different deal and sell it under your real name. Then Avon Books calls back because they Googled her name, and they're like, you're the Princess of Genovia. And she's like, yeah, I wanted to sell it under a pen name just to like see if I could and find someone who liked it. It's not about money. I'm gonna donate all the proceeds to Greenpeace. And then the lady on the phone is like, well, if we sell it under your real name, we could make a lot more money for Greenpeace. And Mia's like, all right, that's fair. Then she goes to lunch with Michael, and they end up going on a horse and carriage ride. And on the ride, they kiss. And he's about to say that he loves her, but she panics and leaves. Then, at a therapy session, her therapist says that she should break up with JP. He had been insinuating it before now, but now he's just saying it. He's like, you can't date this guy you don't like. Then JP emails her that he got her a different publishing deal through Sean Penn's connections. And Mia's like, I don't want that. And then it is prom and election day. JP got a room at the Waldorf. And Mia's like, that's weird, because it was sold out weeks ago. And she realizes that he must have made this reservation months ago, which is very presumptuous of him, especially because he didn't even ask her. And then she realizes that he's the one who's always calling the paparazzi. And in the bathroom at prom, she asks Lily if JP is a big fake. And Lily is like, yes. And apparently, he told Lily that he was breaking up with her so he'd have a chance with Mia. And he slept with Lily, so he was lying about still being a virgin. He gave away his precious gift. So Lily and Mia officially make up. Then JP and Mia are crowned prom king and queen. But immediately after, she takes him out to the lobby and breaks up with him. She gives back the promise ring. And then Michael shows up. Lily called him. And then the two of them go back to his loft and they have sex. And he gives her back the snowflake necklace. Mia's dad wins the election, and Mia decides to go to Sarah Lawrence. The end. So that's the end of the 10 books. This is the main series of books. We get a spin-off. It is the historical romance novel that Mia wrote as her senior project, Ransom My Heart. Meg Cabot wrote that and published it, also in 2009, so that's fun. It's basically just a normal historical romance novel with this extra layer of marketing around it. To promote this project, Mia was given a blog where she wrote updates about her college life. The other Princess Diaries companion books were between 2003 and 2005. They gave readers in-character advice from Princess Diaries characters and taught about real-life princesses. In 2010, there were limited edition dolls. The doll company Tonner made dolls of Mia and Queen Clarice. They're wearing their ball outfits from the first movie. They are 16-inch dolls, and there were 100 made of each. Then, the Princess Diaries returned in 2015 with Book 11, Royal Wedding. I'm gonna say off the bat, I don't really like this book. I think tone-wise, it's not really as funny. I also don't really like the plot, so that doesn't help. And I listened to this on audiobook, and this is not narrated by Clea Lewis. It is narrated by a new, different lady, and I don't like this lady as much. Mia is very stressed about various things. First of all, her dad is arrested for race car driving. There is also an election against Count Ivan. He is anti-immigration. Genovia is seeing refugees from a fictional country called Halif. Their country is experiencing a military coup, now stripping women's rights. And Count Ivan does not want these refugees coming to Genovia. He also wants more tourism, so he wants to allow larger cruise ships to dock. There's also a lot of speculation as to why Mia and Michael haven't gotten married yet. They are 25 and 29, and everyone's like, why haven't they gotten married? There must be something wrong with them. Mia also has an anonymous stalker named Royal Rabble-Rouser. He does not like that she published a historical romance book with a heroine who has premarital sex. The book says that she published that book years ago under a different name, but she didn't publish it under a different name. She published it under Mia Thermopolis. Do they mean that it was also published under Meg Cabot? Because she was gonna publish it under a pen name, but she didn't. Am I confused? What's happening? Anyway, so Mia is stressed for various reasons, and she sees the palace doctor. He does not want to prescribe her anxiety medication, which is ridiculous. But he takes blood and urine samples just to see if anything's wrong with her, and suggests that she start journaling, which is very ironic. Then we find out that Mr. Giannini died of a heart attack. And immediately I was like, oh no, why would we kill off Mr. Giannini? I think Mia's mom and dad are getting back together, which I don't want that. Because Mr. Giannini is not a real man who died. You killed him off. You did not have to do that. I know that the dad said that he regretted losing her, but that was not the mom's opinion. I don't think it's fair to kill her new husband so that they can get back together. Anyway, so Mia founded a community center named after Mr. Giannini, and her friends, Perrin and Ling Su, they don't come off that often, so I didn't really mention them, but they are now a lesbian couple running this community center, so that's fun. Tina is in med school. She broke up with Boris because he is now a famous rock star and allegedly cheated on her. There's photos of him with some other girl, but they also might be photoshopped. Mia is staying at the Genovian consulate because there's a bunch of protesters who are upset about her dad, so it's just safer for her to stay in the consulate. Meanwhile, Lily is studying for the bar exam because she's going to be a lawyer, and she has expressed that she is into Lars the bodyguard. It is mentioned during a conversation with Paolo that Mia helped legalize same-sex marriage in Genovia in 2013, but Paolo has so much love to give to so many men, so he's not getting married. Lana married a Rockefeller. JP is writing a dystopian novel. He also directed a bad movie called Nymphomania 3D. And there's also a website that Mia obsessively checks called Rate the Royals, because Mia is very concerned with how much people like her. Then Michael takes Mia to an island for her birthday and proposes, but the info of their engagement is leaked before they can tell their friends and family. And Michael is like, oh, I asked your parents for their blessing, so your dad must have told Grandmère, and she leaked it for good press. Then Grandmère says that there's an emergency. She was looking through Dad's documents when he got arrested because she wanted to pay for his bail with his own money, and she found records of child support payments because he has another daughter in New Jersey. Her name is Olivia. She is 12 years old, and she is mixed race. Her mother was black. And her mother died when she was very young, so she has been raised by her aunt and uncle. Mia tells Michael about this, and then they have to get into wedding planning. Later, Mia confronts her dad about Olivia, and he's like, I promised Olivia's mom that I would let her have a normal life. I've been trying to be a good prince. And Mia's like, Olivia's mom has been dead for over a decade, and you need to make your own decisions. Then Mia tells Lily about Olivia, and Lily looks into her on her own. Then all the girls are going wedding dress shopping, and Lily takes Mia aside and says that Olivia's family is moving them to Halif, a fictional bad country from earlier, because apparently her uncle's construction company has been contracted to build a mall there. What? Okay. Fine. So now we have to rescue Olivia from being moved to a misogynistic country. So Lily and Mia and Tina go to New Jersey. They go to the house and they see that Olivia's aunt and uncle have 2 Ferraris, and they suspect that they are using the child support payments for personal gain. Olivia's aunt tries to slam the door on them, but Mia puts her foot in the way. She forgets that she doesn't wear Doc Martens anymore, so her foot gets kind of messed up. They ask if Olivia can go home with Mia, and the aunt is like, oh, well, we prepaid for Olivia's school, and it's non-refundable. So basically, she's asking for a bribe. We give her the money, and Lily makes her sign a contract. Then we go pick up Olivia from school. Olivia is about to get beat up by some girl named Annabelle. Apparently, Annabelle's father is Olivia's uncle's lawyer, so Annabelle has found out before Olivia that Olivia is a princess, and she's mad at Olivia about it. So Mia goes to intervene, forgetting that she is a princess, and so of course she causes a giant scene. Olivia reads the contract and agrees to come with Mia. They take a limo ride back to New York, and Olivia says that she wants to meet her dad. Then Grandmère calls. Apparently Ivan, the guy from the election, owns a controlling stake in a cruise line, which is a conflict of interest with the whole tourism thing. Also, they need the good press from the wedding, so Grandmere's happy about that. They also argue about Dad. They're having this conversation in French so that Olivia can't overhear, but then it turns out that she's taking French. But she is 12 years old, so I don't know how good her French is if she's just been experiencing the New Jersey educational system version of French. How long has she been taking it? Not that long, probably, right? But she's able to overhear enough of the conversation to make a suggestion that they can use cruise ships as temporary housing for the refugees. Also, it's offhandedly mentioned that Mia's boobs hurt, and I'm like, oh my god, she's pregnant. No. We make it back to the consulate, and it turns out that the crisis management firm that Grandmere has hired is the firm Lazarus Reynolds. Reynolds as in Reynolds Abernathy IV. So JP is at the apartment in the consulate. The limo with our gang arrives. Olivia is able to meet both Grandmere and Dad. Both of them love her. And then Mia's mom shows up, and she's pissed because it has been leaked in the press that Dad had another kid because Mia showed up at Olivia's school and got super photographed. So Mia's mom and Dad go out on the balcony to have some discussion. Then Michael shows up and he beats up JP in the hallway. Apparently JP was saying, oh yeah, I totally have an in for the wedding. She's totally still into me, whatever. And then Mia's mom calls her and is like, everything's fine. And it kind of seems like her parents are getting back together. Then Michael takes Mia to the doctor because her foot is still swollen. And it turns out she's pregnant with twins. Because of course she is. And so Michael and Mia decide that they are going to move to Genovia. Because it's probably going to be safer and easier for them to raise kids there versus in New York. Then Olivia's aunt and uncle show up and they brought a lawyer because they want custody of Olivia back. So then they take her back to New Jersey. And we're confident we could work this out probably in the next, day or two, but it's still annoying. Then Mia's dad announces that he is dropping out of the election and abdicating the throne. And he's getting back with Mia's mom, which Grandmere is not super pleased about. Then Mia starts telling people she's pregnant. We are able to work out the custody for Olivia, and so we go get her. She's all bloody because she was punched in the nose at school, and her aunt and uncle aren't very concerned about it. The implication in this book isn't that they're abusive, but that they're neglectful. They favor their other children who are not Olivia. But we now have full custody of her, so we bring her back. Then it's time for the wedding. Michael and Mia are married. We don't actually experience the wedding in detail. Boris and Tina get back together, and apparently Michael and Lily found out off-screen that the anonymous stalker, royal rabble-rouser, was JP this whole time. And they took care of it a while ago. The end. Then we get a spin-off series following Olivia called From the Notebooks of a Middle School Princess. This ran from 2015 to 2018. There were 4 books in total and 1 novella because Meg Cabot can't help herself. We first get her side of her finding out that she's a princess, then her moving to Genovia and attending school, Mia's wedding, Mia having her twins, and Mia's coronation. These are fine. They're not really for me. They're very middle grade, which, speaking of books that are not very middle grade, the middle grade reissues of Princess Diaries. Sorry, that was confusing. In 2020, they re-released the first 3 books as middle grade novels. And after skimming the first one, it is barely different. I think they took out a few lines, if that. The vocabulary is still super advanced. All the pop culture references are still super dated. It's basically the exact same book, and I think it's pretty lazy. I will say it's smart to do the first 3 books, because that gets you sort of the Michael winter dance arc, because after that you get a bunch of ridiculous middle books, and a lot of stuff about the precious gift, which is not appropriate for a middle grade audience. Then in 2023, we have Book 12, The Quarantine Princess Diaries. This was in that era of people doing COVID-themed books and reunion specials. It's the type of thing where no one's going to revisit them in hindsight, and I question whether people really wanted them that much at the time. Especially 2023, that's a little bit late to be publishing a Princess Diaries COVID book. And then to make matters worse, it is boring. I really feel like I wasted my time with this one. Genovia is put on lockdown, which I will say, Mia seems way too involved in the decision-making, considering she is now only a ceremonial royal, but she is super involved. I guess. Lily is staying in Genovia at the time, so she's there. Michael is working on a nasal vaccine, which I don't know if that super fits with his talents. I know he got into medical technology, but still more in the computer robotic angle, right? I guess it's like his company is doing this, and he's involved in it. There's some college students from Florida State named Derek and Chad, and Grandmère wants to let them stay at the palace because she's into them. Up until now, she's never been into, like, young people. It's always been, like, kind of people her own age. It's never been, like, college students. So that felt weird. It's like, wouldn't it be funny if Grandmère was into a Florida State student? It's like, that doesn't fit with my image of Grandmère. Boris and Tina have broken up again because he bought them a house because he wants her to stop being a doctor and for them to just spend as much time as possible together. But she wants to continue working on the front lines. There's a lot of Genovian protesters because tourism is most of the economy and they have closed the borders. Renee and Ivan from earlier are both protesting. Mia is pressured into opening the borders and then they start having cases. And then Lana's family visits. And then Boris visits to ask for advice about Tina. Boris mentions that Michael is working with Judith Gershner. And so then Mia gets really jealous. Boris apologizes to Tina and they get back together. And then Michael finishes the vaccine. Kind of more stuff happens than that. Like Fat Louie, the cat, who at this point is ancient, throws up on the carpet. Is that anything? I was so not into it. But soon, in June of 2026, so it's entirely possible when you're watching this has already happened, there's going to be a graphic novel version of the first Princess Diaries book. If it has not come out yet and you live in the US, you can pre-order it to get a Genovian passport wallet. This book is not going to be updating any of the pop culture references. It's basically now just going to be a 2000s period piece, which I think is fun. Hopefully they'll explain some of the references for the kids reading, because I didn't even get most of them. And then at some indeterminate point in the future, there is going to be a Princess Diaries 3 movie. This has been announced. Anne Hathaway is attached. It has not started filming. We don't really know what it's going to be. I feel like it's probably happening. I'm more optimistic about this than other possible projects. But currently there's very little for me to report on. I just knew if I didn't mention it, people would be like, you know there's a movie happening, right? It's like, I barely. Not yet. But that's all I have for you today. Crazy that after 26 years, the brand is still going. I'd like to give a big thank you to my patrons, and a special shout out to Austin Poston, Shepherd Omega, Court, Jillian, Megan, and Melanie Mermaid. If you didn't know, I have a Patreon. I post monthly bonus content on there. Also some free content on there. I feel like most YouTubers have a second channel. I feel like something awaits me in the divine for resisting that impulse. So I'm just putting some stuff up there for free. I'm Sarah Seraph on all social media. As always, all the sources I used for this video will be linked in the description. And I don't know how to end a YouTube video. So bye!